Riley, so Julia. Uh.
Oh my god. Oh my god. What did you say and what does that mean?
You're so Julia. You're one of the cool girls.
Oh my god. Is that's a song lyric from is that a Charlie XCX lyric?
Yeah, I'm hot off of brat fever.
Oh my god. What does so Julia mean? I don't think I knew what she was saying when she said that.
They're saying you're like Julia Fox, one of the coolest girls you could be in that world, apparently.
Wow. Wow. That's a shout out to they know definitively she said that's a shout out
Yeah,
to Julia Fox.
I'm
One of
pretty
the
sure.
coolest people. Wow. So people like Julia Fox.
Yeah, they think she's cool.
Oh my god.
You're a cool girl. But yeah, if I come off as brain dead today, it's because I'm still recovering. I have an iced coffee and a Gatorade by my side.
Because you've got the cocktail flu, you said, because you went to see Charlie XCX last night at the Kia Forum I saw.
It's true. Apparently, the Obama daughters were there.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow. Oh my god.
cool it was.
Holy shit. I saw my whole Instagram. I was looking at the Instagram stories, and every single one, all of my friends were having a full blown brat um, summer, in the
Yeah,
fall. But I was so excited to see it. It looked really fun and beautiful. So you were there.
yeah, it was cool. One of our friends ended up not coming, so we sold her ticket for a profit and bought ourselves $90 VIP parking.
No way. Where do you get to park on that with that?
You're like close to the exit.
That is so great. Is the Kia Forum? That's not the one I'm thinking of that I always say is really horrible. The Kia Forum is okay, right?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's far as hell. Like, it took a long time to get there. But it's not that big, so the cheap seats feel great, like,
Wow.
to me.
That
I
is
saw
awesome.
there too
Was
recently.
it a good show?
Yeah, it was really fun. Troye Sivan, they kind of they're like co-headliners. But he like opens, like he starts and then she comes out and then they like kind of trade off.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's good. I saw Ariana Madix was there
Oh
with the
yeah.
with the Obama's daughters.
Yes. She was also with that man that was on the Valley sometimes, Jared Lips or whatever.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. I
He
know
was
that
wearing a
guy.
wig and I was like, "Oh, I think that is that guy."
Oh good. Was everybody was in the full throes of the fun there at Kia Forum?
Good vibes.
Wow.
Everyone, it lived up to the hype. I was like, am I overhyping this as like the thing I've been looking forward to for like 6 months or whatever? And it was great.
Wow. That's so good. Well, good. It looked fun. I couldn't imagine doing something like that. It looked almost too fun to even
Too fun.
to imagine. That's good. I'm glad you did that. That's
Yeah,
nice.
I did get McDonald's today, and I will give Ariana some grace because it was so unlike me, but I did eat McDonald's in bed,
Today?
which I'm not against all bed eating. I'm more against like leaving leftovers to rot in your room for days at a time.
Yeah. But
But I
you were
did,
staunchly opposed. I remember.
yeah. I mean, I
Back
literally had to take the bag out immediately. Like I didn't even want it in my presence. Like I couldn't like
really?
hang out with it. I wanted it out.
Oh my god. What'd you get?
I got a fish fillet.
Oh my god, that's awesome. Yeah, you don't want that you don't want that
No.
sitting around for a little bit. That's great. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you had a little bit of fun. I haven't done anything like that, even close to something like that. So that's about as fun as it gets. I can't imagine that. But while you were partying your ass off last night, TMZ was snapping photos of Big Jim Bellino and Elizabeth Vargas at the Quiet Woman.
What?
Um,
I didn't realize they were there.
who the
Oh,
Big
what?
Jim and
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's the Quiet Woman.
That's
So
crazy.
TMZ reported this happened. It was Brat. It was like I think it was right after Brat happened. TMZ said, guess who else is dating? This is getting kind of wild what's going on at the Quiet Woman. They said Big Jim Bellino and Elizabeth Vargas are also dating, and those photos, there's like 3 of them, those are from the Quiet Woman. I had to make sure that it was the Quiet Woman because I didn't want to falsely report it, but then if you look closely at Jim's hands, he's holding a menu that says QW, which it
Oh, wow.
couldn't be anything else. There's no other restaurant or bar that has those initials.
I feel like Quiet Woman is like in cahoots at this point as a place to go to spread your story.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely in the OC world, I was thinking, what the hell is like, what do they have on their menu that makes people fall in love so much at the Quiet Woman? You know what I
They're
mean?
like the restaurant, the Tally Ho restaurant on Potomac, where the waiter will say whatever you want
Right.
for you.
Yeah, but then I have sad news. So I thought about that for, a full day. I was like, "Oh my god, what does this mean?" Like this the implications of this, but then I just looked at Big Jim's Instagram story and
Yeah.
he commented unfortunately on the news and he just nipped this in the bud. He said, "We are not dating. This is the end of that conversation." Apparently, it was only one date that he went on with Elizabeth Vargas at the Quiet Woman. So TMZ is falsely reporting that they're actively dating.
Wow, I wonder if this news story ruined what could have been a beautiful relationship.
I think that here's what my theory is. Elizabeth Vargas, no offense to her, but maybe Elizabeth Vargas saw some of this is like the most, this is the most pessimistic take, but I think Elizabeth Vargas maybe saw what kind of clout comes to you when you go to the Quiet Woman and you announce you're dating someone from the OC universe, much like John Jansen and Alexis Bellino announced that. So maybe Elizabeth Vargas said, "Big Jim, would you ever want to go on one date? I kind of like you." Because apparently they did meet somewhere. Like they met on a podcast or something, or like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So they did meet, but maybe Elizabeth Vargas or Big Jim said, "Why don't we set the world on fire or paint the town red? Let's go to the Quiet Woman, take a couple photos, and then let those things, go out to the world, and then immediately dispel the rumors when TMZ, runs wild with it." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Was her ex-husband like a rocker?
No, I get where you're. I get where you're confused. I get where you're confused. No, no, no. She was friends with Axl Rose. She was friends with Axl Rose on her season, famously the COVID season. She's friends with Axl Rose, so she calls in front of Vicky and Kelly Dodd. She says, "I know Axl Rose." She goes, "I talk to him all the time." Then she called him, and it goes,
Right.
"This caller has not been attached to this number for over 10 years. Please do not call it again."
Right.
But no, she was actually in the TMZ article. It says that she divorced from the CEO of American Seafood. His name is
Oh, yeah.
he's, he's one of the biggest CEOs apparently of that whole brand, that's why.
That's the kind of like sugar baby I want to be like for shrimp and
I,
lobster.
could you imagine the kind of stuff that he gets off the truck or whatever? The stuff that the shrimp and stuff that is just about to expire, before it goes to the restroom. I got a
Like,
restaurant.
like Sopranos, how they always are just getting like fur coats and suits and like DVD players and whatever. He's like, I got this whole case
Yeah,
of shrimp.
but you got to eat it like right now. You like
Not a
Elizabeth.
problem.
Yeah, I don't want to get this wrong because I swear. Okay, so she had been trying. Sources say Elizabeth had been trying to find the one following her divorce from her husband, former chairman and CEO of American Seafoods, Burnt Obadal. But they divorced in 2020. So she's been looking for someone. But Big Jim, I swear, he said it was kind of not fun to read. I had to look into this, and he wrote on his story, he posted, he goes, "This is not true. I don't know where the hell this comes from." But obviously, if you take a photo with Elizabeth Vargas and you're sitting at the Quiet Woman, you have multiple photos,
Yeah.
it's like it's something.
Yeah. I also saw he was on a podcast. I don't even know which one it was, but he was talking about how he hopes that Alexis gets a prenup with John Jansen and stuff. And I'm like, why are you even on a podcast? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I agree. I saw a lot of clips of him, or yeah, I saw that too on TikTok, and they were like, the podcast host was like, "Can you confirm or deny that Johnny J's engagement ring is fake on Alexis
Right.
Bellino's hand?" He was like, "What? I have no clue."
He's like,
He
yeah.
he also is still in good standing with Alexis Bellino. Because he was promoting on his Instagram. He says, "Come to Jimmy B's in Palm
Okay.
Springs." You remember that restaurant he has?
Good.
Because Alexis Bellino is going to be having a full night at our restaurant, like hosting it. He goes, now she's back on OC, so come see her in Palm Springs. So they're
They
on
should
decent
talk
enough.
together.
Yeah. Oh, Big Jim and her.
Yeah.
We don't really know. She's never said what the failure was.
Yeah. True.
Well, he didn't. They didn't have, if I remember correctly, there wasn't a lot of love. I think he was a little dismissive of her, and it didn't seem. You know what I mean? Didn't
Yeah.
seem like the best relationship behind the scenes.
Right. Well, all right. Well, that was a short-lived rumor, nipped in the bud. Um,
Yeah.
we were also talking about, I know our big scoop last week was about Vanderpump, and then there was an article in the Sun,
Yeah.
which I feel like that rag has come up a lot. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
talked about how there's like a mole.
Yeah,
In the,
there's some rat. Yeah, there's some rat in the like one of the agents or managers of Vanderpump Rules, like Ariana's manager. No, I'm not gonna say that. Someone in their camp leaks everything in the world that they do, every step they take to the U.S. Sun. The U.S. Sun is the only people that get all the exclusives about something about her. They report on when they had to get their patio scraped off because of the permits, the awning. They talked about the sign being replaced. Like they talked about the sandwiches costing too much. Like the U.S. Sun knows every single thing that's going on about one of the cast members, and they're getting all their information about it. They're like the sole
yeah.
source of news for Vanderpump Rules. They reported based off this writer of this Vanderpump Rules trivia book. I think her name is Thea D'Souza, which I hadn't heard of it, but the book looks cool. It's like she worked on, I don't know, she's worked on Seinfeld or something. She loves Vanderpump Rules. And she wrote a book, and she says, possibly because she knows firsthand from a cast member, that the reason why Vanderpump Rules is not filming right now and is way past when you and I would have ever thought they would start filming.
Yeah.
They didn't film the summer. Now we're almost to Halloween and they haven't started filming. The reason that is because contract negotiations are completely stalling this show because the cast now, it being season 12, they already got a huge cast bump to appear on season 11 after Scandival, and now they would have to bump them up even further for season 12, and there must be some, budget that Bravo doesn't want to go towards for these shows, and Vanderpump Rules is hitting the threshold of what they can do. Bravo to make Vanderpump Rules work. So
Right.
she says, to the U.S. Sun, she says that they're even considering demoting some of the cast to friend ofs, which I was like, could that possibly be true that they would demote like main cast members? But then we found out that Kristen was demoted to a friend of, which they never talk about. But
Yeah.
Tom Sandoval started paying Kristen's rate because she was
Right.
appearing in episodes, but she was demoted to friend of. So that would
Right.
mean like possibly Sheena or Lala or whoever they think they could get away with this would be
Yeah.
demoted to a friend of to make this work. And then
Right.
also, this was Patreon that we shared all this news, so I don't want to say we weren't talking about this on the main feed, but we also said that they were considering only doing 3 to 4 episodes for the final season of Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah.
And now that kind of lends a little more credence to that, because that's a workaround to get away with the cast budget to say we're only doing 4 episodes. Your episodic rate is 100,000 in episodes, and we're shortening the season to make
Right.
this work.
From like 16 or 18 to 4.
Yeah, it's a 4. So, and then, we reported this on Patreon, and now we can talk about it because it's out. The U.S. Sun, it's like real now. There's like a source for this. But they said they were supposed to film in mid-October, which is what we said on
Yeah.
Patreon. But already that is delayed now because they still can't make the contract negotiation work. So now it's either November or December that they're looking to film. But the only validity that I found, or the reason why this seemed more real, was the friend of part of it, because now that we know that
Yeah.
Kristen was actually demoted, and the fact that what is the other rationale for why Vanderpump Rules has not started filming yet? If Alex Baskin originally said it was to give them all a break for the summer so they can move past Scandival, but we're so far past
Right.
that being an excuse for this.
Yeah, it said on the article like worst case scenario early 2025. So it's
Yeah.
like at that point you're just skipping basically a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it like yeah, I mean that would be unprecedented. But then the cast, like there is so much going on with the cast that like there are so many new relationships and everything. Like it would still be okay if they started in 2025. We'd have
Yeah,
just missed a lot of their lives.
right.
Um, but and then I guess and then also I don't know if this is talked about, but the fact that it's like almost unanimously everyone is saying that this will be the final season of Vanderpump Rules. That seems to
Yeah,
be a through line from all the sources
right.
that we're gathering this info from.
Yeah, which I guess shouldn't be surprising at this point, but
No.
it is wild. Speaking of the shit that they're missing, Katie announced, I think out of her own mouth, that she has a new boyfriend and she's in love.
She said love.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you see the clip?
I didn't see the clip. I
I didn't
saw
see
a headline.
I'm
He's
sorry to
in
call you
like some
out.
emo band or something.
I'm sorry to call you out. Yeah, he's in Sleeping with Sirens. His name is Nick Martin. I don't know, this is bad of me, but I don't know if Katie said I'm dating this man from Sleeping with Sirens, but I think everybody
They figured
gleaned
it
who it
out.
was from the context clues. But yeah, I don't know that band or anything, but it makes sense. Katie has been in her sort of, emo era. So
Yeah,
maybe she's been, now connected to that world, and she saw Nick Martin, and she said, "Whoa, this guy is really cool. I want to date
yeah.
him."
So apparently the quote is Dana, I guess, said, "Do you have any life updates that you would like to share?" And she said, "I'll share. So I have a boyfriend. Yeah, I'm in love."
In love. Wow. Do you think Dana knew going into that podcast that she had an exclusive on her hands?
I think so. Which I don't know. I mean, that news just dropped, so that episode must have just come out. But I've been seeing on TikTok that Dana's in Europe. Did you see? She had like kind of a viral moment that's been haunting me.
Oh, yeah. Now I know. You say what it is because I don't want to get the facts wrong. But yeah, I did see this.
She went to, I think, Amsterdam, but she had a connection at Heathrow. This is Dana from season 8, the co-host. She, if you recall from the show, her mother died
Yeah.
like years ago, and she wears her mom's ring. Apparently, she always wears it when she travels, and when she had to run from her first flight to her second flight, and by the time she got to the second flight she noticed that the ring was gone, and she did like a tearful plea on TikTok trying to find it. She posted a photo of it. I've been like checking because I love shit like that, because sometimes TikTok can do amazing things, like like people that work at that airport are like, there's like Facebook groups that people are like helping her get on and stuff, so I keep checking it because I'm like, I mean, it's really slim chances because she
Mm-hmm.
literally has no idea where it is, but
Oh.
and I keep checking and I don't think there's been a resolution. But I saw like she had like a viral moment because she posts a lot and they're kind of don't get much traction. Like she kind of just vlogs all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
that like seemed to have broken through. And then I don't remember if we talked about it, but Zach Wickham also had like independently viral TikTok. Did you see that?
No.
It was like a couple weeks ago. I don't think I brought it up, but he was shopping at a Goodwill on like Fairfax or something, and he posted that a girl, they had for sale a bunch of someone's trophies, like tennis trophies, like piano, like their whole life. Like it was just like this
Oh.
girl that like her parents like got rid of all of her trophies, and he was like, "Damn girl, like if you want these, they're here." And it like blew up, and then the family posted that the mom then went back and bought them,
Oh
and then like
no.
the girl is like, she's fine, she like told them to get rid of them, and she's like cool and like an artist, and then she got attention from like, but I was like, he went, it had nothing to do with him, but like it was just a funny viral TikTok, and I was like, he then like went back to buy some of them. It became like a funny TikTok saga, and I was like, I happen to know who this is, but It was just random.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed that completely, but that's funny. He stumbled onto a This American Life story or
Totally.
something. That's great. Wait, so the Dana ring, you said there's no resolve there. Like the people are still
Not as
looking,
of
but
this
oh,
afternoon. I hope, I mean, as someone who lost a heirloom piece of jewelry for a while and then did find it, I wish that for everyone.
yeah. Yeah, if you're
Um,
listening to Turtle Time and you or somehow were on that same journey maybe with Dana and you know where that ring is or
yeah.
and you can
Yeah, if
find it.
you find it or if you see a video that it has been found, please tag me. I must know.
Yeah. Yeah, that went viral too from Dana.
Yeah, I think it had like a million views or something.
Whoa.
Like, because people love that stuff, like a mission, you know?
Wow, I didn't know that.
TikTok is like, people are always like, TikTok, do your thing, you know?
Yeah. Like is that like mysteries too? Do people love mysteries or just or
Yeah, like, I feel like TikTok is well used. I feel like Twitter used to be that way, like an ongoing thing. Like it has that sort of like chain, like you like can follow along, you know, like you
right.
can add to your thing.
Yeah.
Um, And then, but yeah, I did see people on Twitter going back to the Katie thing. That apparently the day that that news came out, which was yesterday, I think, was Schwartz's birthday.
Oh. Yeah, I
And
saw that
everyone
too.
was like acting like she did that on purpose. But my galaxy brain is like, I think it was pre-recorded because Dana's in Europe and lost her ring.
Yeah, it's true. And they didn't maybe they well they did they drop that clip on Schwartz's birthday?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, I don't know if they were being antagonistic like that. But anything else to think about Katie being in a relationship? I guess it's kind of like if it's not on Vanderpump Rules, what does it truly mean to us? Except I'm
Right.
glad and happy
Like,
for her.
will this guy be on the show? Is he comfortable with that?
That's a
Um,
lot of new relationships.
yeah,
Victoria, Sophia, Schwartz's girlfriend.
right.
Um,
Yeah, I saw a headline that was like, Sandoval says never say never to the Valley amidst Jack's rekindling
I
friendship.
I saw that too, but it was sort of clickbait. It was a little bit. The TMZ reporter was had no idea like what they were talking about, as they sometimes do when they just stumble on a celebrity, and they were like, "What about the spinoff that you could potentially be on?" And then Sandoval just said like, "Who knows what the future holds? I can't think about the future." And it was like he didn't say no about the
Yeah.
Valley. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God. Speaking of clickbait, I think I sent it to you, but we always make fun of those sort of celeb buzz bit.ly posts, and Brandy did one that was like capitalizing off of Kim Richards' woes.
Yeah.
And it was like a picture of Kim and it said like prayers for Kim with like a heartbreak and then a link. And I was like, how dare you? I am not clicking on this, you freak.
I clicked on it. The reason, well, first of all, I had to find out if it was Celeb Buzz. Celeb
Yeah.
Buzz has the weirdest racket on the internet. It is so silly. They
Was it
pay
celeb buzz?
Bravo celebrities, huh?
Was
Yeah,
it celeb buzz?
it was Celeb Buzz, of course. They pay Bravo celebrities to link with the most inflammatory photos you've ever seen in your life to click on the link, and they pay them to do it. But I don't even want to say what it looked like, but it was so scary to see that from
We should
Brandy, and
start
it's
doing that. That like, like remember the was it the Inquirer or what was the one that was even crazier that would have like Bat Boy?
National Enquirer, I think,
Was
was the
that
Bat Boy. Yeah, it was yeah, they famously made that Bat Boy that was running around famous.
if I were her, I would do shit like that. Like I'd
Bat
be like,
Boy,
Bat Boy found in
that would,
Zolciak's basement.
that would be awesome. Yeah, they should do. Bravo celebrities should do more non celebrity news and more National Enquirer stuff. I haven't seen a National Enquirer thing. I don't go to the supermarket. Trader Joe's
Yeah.
doesn't have like a magazine rack, so I never get to see that stuff. But it's it was so wild back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Brandy, because with Kim and Teresa's would be like, look what Louis did to me, and then it would show like a dagger over like Louis's head, and then you'd click it, and it'd be like Louis and Teresa are doing just fine, or Kim would be like, guess who's pregnant again, and it would be the ultrasound. That's about that's about them. But
Yeah.
for her to do it to a friend, capitalizing on Kim's potential misery is too much. Brandy really, I think we've said this, but like she took one of the biggest L's in Bravo history, and I loved Brandy for so
Yeah.
long. But everything she did post Morocco was a strategic mistake in every
Yeah.
way.
For
Like
sure.
they say, that news keeps bubbling up. People are like, even the Garagos brothers won't touch this case with a 10-foot pole. They said it's completely stalled because the Caroline Manzo incident in Morocco. They're
Right.
like, you don't have a case because there's already a pending case against you of you doing something similar. And remember, we saw the Andy Cohen video with, who was the video
Yes.
with where he was begging for a threesome?
Chastain.
Yeah. And it was like you could clearly see he was just drunk off his ass.
Yeah, I mean, it's that weird thing where every time we talk about that, I'm like, obviously, it's like if you want to be buttoned up HR mode, it isn't appropriate.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if you have been watching Brandy for as long as we have, you know that she says the most insane shit
Yeah.
constantly. So that's who you're working with. It's not like he
Yeah.
called like Eileen talking like that. You know what I mean?
No. Right. Oh my God. Eileen would go,
It was
oh.
aggressive. Yeah.
Eileen would be horrified if she got a message like that. No. Yeah.
Well,
You're exactly.
you know
Oh.
why the Garagos brothers don't want to help her.
Well, I'll just say. I want you to say it. I'm going to say because I think they're a little busy today or right now. Right.
Exactly. They're
What's
helping free the Menendez boys. Or
really two
Are-
brothers, two twin brothers helping? Are the Menendez boys? Are they twins?
I wish that would be fun.
They're close in age, though, right?
Yeah, I think
Are
only
they?
a couple years apart. And
Wow.
yeah, the Garagos brothers should get together to free the brothers.
Yeah, of course. It's like twin solidarity. So what? There's nothing new, right? I still don't know the central facts of the Menendez case. I keep wanting to watch it, but I have to catch up on other stuff. But nothing has changed. They just want it to be demoted to manslaughter because of all of the horrible stuff that
Yeah.
was going on in the households. So the Garagos are like, I smell a celebrity case. I love being a part. We love being a part of those. They high-fived, and then they
Yeah.
said, let's be a part of this thing.
Yeah. I will update you hopefully next week. I kept hearing that it was supposed to go down this week, that Gascon, the DA, was making a formal recommendation, and then I think like a judge has to approve it. But I think the DA making the recommendation is, from what I've been hearing, like a pretty like solid that means that it will be done. Like
Wow.
that's what every legal TikTok mind that I have followed seems like the fact that that is happening means it's likely.
Wow. So in a year from now, you and I could be shopping at Trader Joe's and we would just see the Menendez brothers with a shopping cart at the grocery store getting groceries, right?
Yeah, and I'll be like, "Hey guys."
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Good for the Garagos brothers. They have a great track record. You know who else is a huge fan of the Menendez brothers, including in addition to the Garagos, is I saw Emily Simpson was
Oh
taking a
yeah.
Menendez tour. She said,
Yes.
I have been obsessed with this case. It was one of the cases that wanted to make me, or that I went to, what's it called, law school for. I was so obsessed with this. And she went by the house and talked about all of the history of this house, how many people have bought it, this sort of like haunting stuff that's gone on inside the house. Like it was pretty fun to see that Emily Simpson also was just like
I
us.
know. It fits into her criminal justice thing. And yeah, she was saying that she used to watch the case on court TV every day, which I feel like people keep talking about that. And I think I was too young to have done that. But I think court TV was like what made it such a big case because it was like televised, you know?
Right. Yeah. People were saying in the comments, someone suggested, it was a great comment on Instagram. They said, Emily, you and Shane should do a true crime podcast where you talk about these huge legal criminal cases with Shane.
Yeah.
And you talk about it from a lawyer perspective and the celebrity aspect. And I said, wow, I would probably, if it was good, listen to that for multiple
Yeah.
episodes. I mean, there's so many worse podcasts.
Yeah, I would totally listen to that.
Speaking of, is this a good segue? Did you want to transition? Speaking of podcasts that are no longer with us, I'm not going to say a bad
Oh, yeah,
podcast, but
that's good.
thinking of podcasts that, potential podcasts or people that have podcasts, we have to say goodbye as a family, the Turtle Time family. We have to say goodbye to Rachel Goes Rogue. I was a huge proponent of Rachel Goes Rogue, and I listened to it for about 15 episodes. I fell off a little bit because she started doing something other than reporting on Vanderpump Rules. But after chapter 65, Rachel said, she said, I'm going even more rogue away from this podcast. And then she's ending it completely and she's going to close the full book on Vanderpump Rules and the podcast as well and move forward, without Vanderpump Rules, which, end of an era kind of.
That's kind of crazy that on Patreon we're ushering her in, seeing her for the first time on season 5, and in real life we're ushering her out.
Oh my God. It's so the synchronicity, or what's the word when things are so like perfectly aligned? Everything we're reporting on in the past on Patreon comes true in the future, or circles back.
It's the simulation.
Yeah. So that was it. I mean, I liked Rachel Goes Rogue more than a lot of people. I think she had a lot of good exclusive stuff towards the beginning, like some great action-packed 4 or 5 episodes. But then when it turned into a mental health podcast, that's just not something that I was interested in, because my mental health is absolutely perfect. And so, it just didn't. It wasn't what I was coming to it for anymore. But I think it's probably for the best, because if Vanderpump Rules, like you said, was so, hampering her mental health trajectory, and it made her uncomfortable to watch it and talk about it, it's good that it's over, for her.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that, I mean, I don't know in what other fashion it would end, but it felt, I feel like it ended abruptly, just in the sense that she's like, but I guess how else would it end?
Yeah, it lasted longer than hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Seth and
oh my God, yeah.
Seth and Meredith was.
I think that launch.
I think that lasted for. No, it did. It did. They launched the one that like they were doing in last season of Salt Lake City, and then I think it lasted for 3 episodes or something, and then it said like Seth quits. It had 4 episodes. And then there was a Real Housewives of Miami. There was a Real Housewives of Miami podcast with who's Michael Jordan's son? What's his name?
Larsa Pippen and
Larsa. They had a podcast, and I looked at that, and that lasted for 4 episodes or 5 episodes.
Well,
so
as we said, we're the only surviving Turtle Time as of October 2024.
Right, we talked about that one too. Yeah, are we one of the longest running podcasts?
I think so. We should hedge a bet for. I just saw that Crystal Minkoff and Cynthia Bailey are starting a podcast, which, no offense, sounds so fucking boring.
Right. What's that one called? Do you remember?
It's a good question. It's like, I think it's something dumb.
I mean, even Elizabeth Vargas has a podcast.
She does.
Well, not to be. I'm just saying. Why do we always talk shit about podcasts? People don't like that. But I guess I think it's just. I think the thing is that it's much harder than it seems. Like, look at us right now.
It's called humble brag.
Oh, okay.
They're inciting the what was his name? Who invented the humble brag?
Yeah, Harris Whittles.
Do you think they know who Harris Whittles is?
I think so. I think they were big like UCB people. Wow. Yeah, I would never think that would be a duo that would come together and join forces, but we will definitely be listening, and I'm, it could be good, possibly, right?
I mean, I get why they all want to do it. Like, if you do it right, like, I don't want to say they do it right because I couldn't listen, but like Tamra, which we will get into what she said this week, but she has really made a meal out of having a podcast. Like, she gets headlines constantly. Like, it's working.
Yeah, so. Yeah. That's probably, that's probably the shining star of what people are aspiring to with 2 T's in a pod. They're probably like I could do something like that. And I think that is always in like the top 10 Bravo podcasts or reality TV charts. So they're killing it.
Yeah. And they seem, I don't know what else Teddy has going on, but I have a feeling like they've just fit it into their lifestyle. It seems like they take it seriously, whereas a lot of other people think it can be more of a hobby when in fact it takes a lot of time.
It really does. Speaking of Tamra, you mentioned it, but Tamra, I don't know. I'm not going to say too much about this. I'll let you, if you want to say anything, but Tamra has been diagnosed with autism.
Right. Well, she kind of backtracked. So, like,
Oh,
she
I
said
didn't see that.
on the podcast, she was like, I went to therapy for the very first time. Yes, today, I think. It was like the hour after she got out of her session. And she was like, don't make me cry. If I talk about it, I'm going to cry. And she's like, they told me I'm on the spectrum. And of course, there was immediate blowback because people are like, it's a very, like the process to get that diagnosis takes much longer than one session,
Right.
and like there are like steps to be taken and et cetera, et cetera.
I thought they kind of like they would like I thought she like walked in and they kind of like did they like did a magnifying glass. They put her on a table. They
Yeah,
like
they
put a
like
bunch
hit
of
her
stuff.
knee.
Yeah, hit her, put a bunch of stuff in front of her face and watched how her eyes tracked around the room or whatever.
Rorschach.
Yeah, a Rorschach test. They said, "What does this look like to you?" And then the therapist was like, "Oh God, that is not at all what this thing." Yo, they call in a specialist or whatever. Oh, I didn't know it was. I don't know if I knew it was one and done. And
One.
they said, we think here's your diagnosis. So then, what did you? I didn't see the walk back. What happened?
Yeah, so she did a whole like notes app post and was like, I've known this person, the therapist, I guess, for years. So I guess she was saying that like they already know how she is. And they were saying that it is a spectrum, and I don't think she got a formal diagnosis, but the therapists kind of said it offhand that like you're really giving me the vibe that you're on the spectrum.
Okay.
And it was had to do with like not looking people in the eye, not empathizing.
Whoa.
There are a few other things, and I this chick that I've followed on Instagram forever, Tracy Morrissey, posted a clip that she was like, it's giving when Larry David said he had Asperger's so that he could just like get away with being an asshole.
Yeah. So was she? Did she like relate it to her trajectory on the show, like to, for as rationale for her interpersonal relationships, or was it just like?
It does seem like that's her plan. Like a lot of people, I saw one person hypothesizing that she could use this in her defamation case
Yeah.
to be like, I know not what I do.
Right. Like, look at the note from my therapist. It says I'm
Yeah.
on the spectrum.
Um, but no, it's interesting. A lot of people are bringing up how she got baptized on the show a few years ago. Like it kind of, whatever. If she is, that's cool. Like getting a diagnosis is helpful. Like
Yeah.
whatever. But she like kind of jumped the gun like before she knew what she was talking about. And it does seem like between getting baptized and like this, like she kind of wants like a thing,
Yeah.
like to be like, look at how I'm evolving. But it's like weird the
Right.
way she goes about it.
You mean she likes having like those big turning points
Yeah,
in her life? I kind of forgot she got baptized.
I know. Because for a while there, she was trying to like be a good Christian and sort of try to, I don't know, live with more peace and understanding. And I feel like that went out the window pretty quickly.
Yeah, she doesn't really talk about it anymore. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not the main focus of her life anymore. I think she should maybe probably like. Well, first of all, if they said that to me, like I would rush and just say it as soon as possible, like on turtle time. So I don't fault her for that, but I would just probably say like she said she jumped the gun. I would just continue to go to the therapist and see make sure that it's an accurate assessment from the therapist that you really trust.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I trust Tamra.
Did you see Kelly Dodd's live?
No. What did
He was like cooking
no.
eggs and going off about Tamrat.
Wow,
She
because
was like, Bravo should fire her immediately for this. Which I'm like, I don't know what those grounds would be. I think that could be a problem.
fire her. Fire her for this? I immediately thought fire her for the FBI Ryan thing. No, fire her. for this, for stating on her podcast that she was diagnosed with autism.
I think that could get them in some hot water,
Right.
but
Wow.
yeah, she was like, she's disgusting.
Wow.
I
She's
watched.
disgusting.
She's
She-
so entertaining, I have to say.
oh
She's so
yeah.
toxic, but I'm like,
Oh yeah.
damn, like
Oh yeah.
those were good
Well,
times.
yeah. I mean, we already talked about this, but she also went on that. She was also like, everyone, let's pull our resources together and sue the shit out of Tamra into oblivion. Um, because Kelly had I mean, obviously I shouldn't even say this, but she had a
Right.
podcast too
With her
with her
husband.
husband.
Right. Yeah.
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 She's kind of like scorched earth for
Yeah.
Bravo in a way, you know.
Yeah, but it's at least like entertaining
Yeah.
until she does any real damage.
Right.
But yeah, so that more to come on that, I guess. Um I'll watch OC with that in mind tonight.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely. I don't know any of the. I don't know any of the signs, and no one I personally know that I know of is on the spectrum. But it's something I'll think about for the rest of my viewing of Tamra for sure. Right?
Yeah, I guess it's just funny to be like, I have no empathy for others. It's because I have an issue, not because you're like,
Yeah. I thought it was just because you were being really fake for entertainment. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, it's like, do you stir the pot because you are on the spectrum?
Yeah. Um, I mean, she does have a lack of empathy, at least on the show. I don't know how she is in real life, but she definitely lack of empathy is one of her defining characteristics for sure. She's pretty
Yeah,
mean spirited,
right.
on the
Yeah.
show. I don't know if that's real. Well, any other news? I mean, we're 40 minutes in, which is the typical time to end the news. Anything else you wanted to share before we popped on over to RHONY?
I think we can go to RHONY Town. A lot of, yeah, fun little tidbits came up at the last minute this week. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. What was your favorite news story?
I mean, the camera claiming autism is, to me, could be iconic for for the ages
If
in any
yeah,
number of ways.
right, okay, yeah. It's gonna make me think about her a lot more for the future of my viewing. Okay,
Like, yeah, like I feel like she keeps getting in trouble. Like to have to do like two notes app apologies in a month is like brutal.
oh, I didn't see she apologized.
She basically was just like, let me clarify, like I might have gotten ahead of myself or whatever. Like I was just, she said that she was so emotional that she just like wanted to get it off her chest right away. But I'm like, it's really long. Like it's like 5 paragraphs. And
Oh, I see it.
yeah.
Now on the spectrum is such a broad term, I don't really understand it fully. And they said I need to put you under more evaluation. Okay, all right, I'm gonna read that because I only heard the first part, which is my fault. So I'll definitely I'll be reading
Yeah.
that. Would
I'm just
you?
like, she already had to do that about what she said about Ryan, and I'm just
Right.
like, ugh, like maybe just chill out on what you say out loud.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Do you think Tamara would ever be on Turtle Time?
Probably.
Okay, good. All right. Well, Roni, I think you and I both agreed that this was kind of a snooze fest.
Yeah.
As is Roni's. It's typically boring for the last
Yeah.
two
I
seasons.
don't
This,
believe, I know we always comment on the title, but the title is a real fake out.
yeah. That's why I wanted to start with immediately. No one looks at the titles except you and I, but it's called Dramamine Drama, and as we find out, the Dramamine Drama is a complete red herring, false flag, fake
Yeah.
out, like you said. It didn't happen, and it's squashed completely within the episode. Within like 20 minutes, none of it is real or true.
And
And
it's like the word drama is in Dramamine. We have to use it, please.
yeah. What's the thing if you take the truck drivers? Well, I don't want to disparage truck drivers, but when you're sleepy on the road,
Oh, like uppers?
I was thinking like, don't title this something that.
Maybe.
What's the anti-sleeping medicine that people take? I don't know. I was just like, don't associate this sleepy season of RHONY with a drug
Yeah.
that makes people sleepy. But Dramamine makes you less car sick, right?
Yeah, I think it does make you drowsy though.
Well, so I'll explain this really quickly. For half the episode is them going to, or they go to Sag Harbor. They want a redo of some iconic episodes last season where they do a
How
lot of
triggered
call.
were you?
Yeah, I was just like, none of these moments are iconic. I mean, none of these moments are iconic, so the callbacks to it make you groan because you're like, we
Mhm.
don't need to see this again. The Christmas
Yeah,
tree shit. Um,
yeah,
but the Dramamine drama is Raquel, the new cast member, said, I get really car sick. Sai and Ubo were in the front seat. They were driving together. They thought that Raquel, she texted and said, I get so car sick, I think I may need to drive. And Sai goes, oh, I'm so sorry. Take Dramamine. And then Raquel thought that meant you can never drive my car. Sai thought,
yeah.
wait.
It is
Raquel
confusing.
Raquel thought, oh, I can't drive in their car. They won't get out of the front seat for
I
me.
don't even understand. It was like poor texting, first of all, because I'm like, you needed more words in that sentence because I wouldn't, I was on Sai's side. I never would um assume that someone that I've met like once was saying they needed to drive my car.
Yes.
And I drive a shitty car, so maybe I'd be like, I don't care, but
No. I would never think, I think I'm going to drive or I think I'm going to need to drive. I would never think they meant drive my car. I would think
yeah,
there's so much self driving on this show that I would think you're transporting yourself. And then Raquel kind of made it worse when she talked to Aaron. She goes, they wouldn't get out of the front seat for me, which at the first I was like, whoa, that's
yeah,
wild that Uba and Sai wouldn't get out of the front seat. I mean, Sai
yeah,
has to be in the front seat. But
yeah,
Aaron, the problem I find is that Aaron is so wants to scrounge up drama
yeah,
any way she can that she kind of brought this to the forefront, something that did not need to be dissected or discussed at all. And we get a title named after it, 15 minutes of discussion about it, and then the whole thing was just an absolute, just a misunderstanding. Just
yeah,
one of the easiest misunderstandings that two people could have.
yeah. And it's giving like yet again a semantics thing where it's literally like about the words that were used that got people pissed off and then but in this case because Raquel is chill and Sai I guess I don't think really cares that much they were like she was like oh I thought you meant your car and she's like oh I meant your car and they were like okay
Yeah. Yeah. The only positive I can give this is at least they didn't make this a 2 episode thing where
right
Raquel
I
said,
think
I really, yeah, like I really did think you wouldn't let me drive. And Sai goes, who the hell would ever ask to drive my car? That's completely unsafe or whatever. Like at least they didn't make more of it. I mean,
yeah
possibly they couldn't make more of it.
yeah I
But I,
did feel like it led the only like building block it had was that it lent credence to Uba's weird madness about people lying or
yeah.
making drama where there is none or whatever. Like that was just an added thing, even though I'm like, I mean, Aaron's the one you're friends with, so
Yeah. Yeah. No. I was going to say that what she said, she says, you all are pigeons.
yeah,
And remember, like, when we saw that in the trailer, we were like, what the hell is Uba talking about? If people are snakes or they're pigeons. But when you see that it's carrier pigeons,
right.
there's actually validity to that. All of their drama is people relaying what one person said, like
Yeah,
you just said this, and stating it wrongly, and then someone getting mad at it, and then going to the source, and then finding out that that wasn't what they actually said. It is
right.
this miscommunication, carrier pigeon philosophy that's happening here on the show. So
Yeah.
Uba's right to call it out because that was an example of it. That was a total just carrier pigeon fake out.
Yes. I also just have to call out quickly that did you feel like Bravo was shading Erin by doing the side by side of her kitchen, or was it just me that was like, it looks exactly the fucking same? Oh,
I don't know. Oh my gosh. Wow. People
I
on
like
YouTube,
visitor.
you got a sweet little surprise. Norman just popped up to say hello.
Norman, you breathe too loud for this.
I think, oh, I'm so sorry. You're going to have to,
Excuse me,
well,
Reggie.
so I don't know. Jessel kind of had comments about it. They like made Jessel seem like she was shading it, but
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I guess. I mean, she did do a lot of stuff. The counter was different. The backsplash was different. I mean, not.
Unremarkable.
I, I just thought, why are we spending 2 minutes, on this? I can't believe that they wanted to do a redo at Aaron's house. Like,
I
did they
know.
think that the 2 episodes that started last season were so iconic that we needed to see this again? And a lot of the
I'm under attack.
oh my gosh, I'm
Oh,
so
give
sorry.
me 1 second.
Amy, Amy's cat Norman wants to see Amy so bad. That is so sweet. I'm so
Okay.
sorry to deprive you of
Hiding.
Norman's love. A lot of I mean, this episode was so bad because it's rehashing a bunch of shit that we already didn't care about from the first 2 episodes, like the Brennan Sai stuff. Um, I mean, is it even worth? Is it even worth going into?
I feel like we can literally just do top like 3 things.
Yeah, like Bryn and Sai both want to forgive each other, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like,
They
what's the
don't
problem?
care. Like it's that's the thing. It's so boring. Like they don't like each other and it doesn't matter. So they're both kind of just like, all right, like you think I said something I didn't say, even though I probably said it, but whatever.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I just don't really fuck with you, but we're gonna have to hang out. And then Uba tries to be like, I don't think you guys are in the clear after that conversation. And they're like, oh well.
Yeah, and I think we were. And why do you care? And so, like, yeah, that was like, it was like the Brandon Sai stuff is so uninteresting. And then, like, they resolve it. It was a miscommunication. Although, like, if you're parsing it, Sai, I like Sai a lot more this season. I do like the Sai 2.0. I do think she was creating a very, like, a persona last season, a hungry, mean persona. They all had different personas, and
Yeah.
Sai's was the one that just didn't click for the audience. So I like this revised Sai, but Sai is also arguing fruitlessly that why did you tell Jenna that I hate her? I only said to every single person in the world that will listen that I don't like her at all.
Right.
So it's splitting hairs or whatever to
Yeah.
accuse Bryn, and Bryn kind of calls out that. But again, it's just not entertaining enough to really go into too much. And then Uba tries to dredge it up again 4 hours later. So that was Uba going, no, you guys should talk about this even more, this fake conflict that you had. I think we haven't gotten to the root of it. And then you can tell Bryn is even exasperated. She's like, I resolved this already. I don't want to go back into it. So it's almost like she's upset with Uba for trying to bring this up again, after they
Yeah.
had already rehashed it or
Yeah.
hashed it out.
Yeah. And even, I mean, Jenna, in that conversation, I mean, they rolled the clip and she did explicitly say that Bryn told her that. But I think she was trying to say, ultimately, it doesn't matter because I heard it from so many people anyways. But they did have the clip of her explicitly calling Bryn out, which I'm like, do you really not remember, or you just like don't want to be part of this?
I think Jenna, because Sai is getting mad at Bryn, Jenna thinks she's like salvaging this relationship, and she just wants to be like, I know I said Bryn said it, but I should have just said 100 people have come up to me and said it, and I could have just had the exact same discussion with you about you hating me and not brought Bryn into it, and we'd be at the same place. Why are you blaming Bryn for it?
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to note that we got a TikTok comment. We posted a clip from last week where we were talking about Jenna's son being handsy with her friend or whatever at the rock climbing. And someone commented, if you mean the girl in the bandana, that's Heather Kameski. She's a model and Jenna's girlfriend's good friend and gay.
Okay, that explains it. So that was Heather, the assistant. That wasn't, or I mean, sorry, Heather, the friend, not the assistant, which we thought it was the assistant.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow, that clarifies.
I meant to look at, I mean, it doesn't really matter who's gay. It's just a strange dynamic.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, we had a lot of people that were just as confused as us, but someone finally clarified. So I think
Yes.
that's good. We got a little bit of they went to that Greek restaurant, and we got a little bit of Raquel and Rebecca Minkoff's backstory. Um,
Yeah.
anything worth discussing in?
I mean, I did wonder, she said that she was born in San Diego, then moved to Florida,
Yeah. Yep.
Clearwater.
Yeah, I think so. So San Diego is famously where L. Ron Hubbard had Sea Org based for a while. So it's quite possible that her family got off the Sea Org ship and then went to Clearwater as the new base of Scientology.
Yeah. I mean, nothing she said was, everyone was so outraged that she told a story that her high school boyfriend, her parents were like, if you don't do drugs, we'll let you take birth control. And everyone was like, what the hell? Like, that's insane. And Jenna was like, I have a 17-year-old son. Imagining condoning sex at 16, I can't even think of it. And I'm like, in 2024, like, I was like honestly shocked. I mean, do whatever you want as a parent, like whatever. But I was like, I'm pretty sure it's widely accepted at this point that people have sex in high school. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so too. I thought there was a little bit of an overblown reaction. Like they had a lot of like I don't know, they're trying to make the most of whatever they're given. That's why they always have outsized reactions to things that no one would typically care about.
Yeah.
I mean, her story, her background was not very, not very interesting. Besides the Sea Org stuff, she
She
still has
also revealed on this episode that she doesn't really drink, which is everyone's right. But I'm like, I have a feeling there's going to be no fun to be had.
Right. Yeah. I think that we already kind of know that Rebecca is not going to be on the cast next season. The fact that she didn't become a full-time cast member. Raquel's story was interesting.
Yeah,
Like,
her career stuff is cool. Like, she's like a cool figure.
yeah, I think she's great. I like the engagement story. I like that she does that motorcycle ride, the Ducati Ducks.
Yeah.
People were so much more clearly interested in Raquel's backstory than they were in Minkoff's. They're kind of treating Minkoff like, like she sucks, and they don't, want to befriend her. Then yeah, I mean,
Bryn doubled down on what we were complaining about last week, where she goes, I want to be a lesbian so bad.
uh-huh.
And Jenna's like, you have time. I was older than you when I switched. And she's like, TikTok, Jenna. And I'm like, I'm just so sick of it.
I know. She went in and I think that nobody read the feedback, I think, from season 14. She went in and started humping Jenna, and she said, close your eyes and pretend I'm Cass.
Yeah, a lot of people in the comments of our video were like, if she was a man, she would be like in jail.
Yeah.
Like, talking like that.
Humping. Yeah, there was humping energy. I'm kind of like, it's like kind of like annoying to even talk about some of this stuff. There's that back and forth with Uba and Bryn where they literally speak in gibberish to each other,
Yeah.
where they're like, because Uba's saying, you didn't repair your relationship with Sai. She hates Bryn, I guess. And they say, I mean, I don't want to do what they do, but it's like 1 full minute of speaking gibberish. And I'm like, that's where it rides the line where I'm like, do they watch this and they say, this is good? Or do they watch it and they say, wait, this is really bad? Because I found it to be really bad.
It was like when Sheree did that crazy thing.
Yes,
We thought it was
totally.
funny, and when Sheree did it, it was very funny.
Yes, it was very funny. Yes, absolutely. You're right. I didn't even think about that. And then Aaron makes this face, and I'm just like, does Aaron know? Like, they know they're on a bad show. They all are on a show, and they actively know it's bad, but none of them can do anything to make it good.
Yeah. And it's like, I know what Uba is saying generally, but there's a language barrier. And also, I think she's just kind of being vague in the sense that, like, it makes the whole thing, everyone's like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah, well, when she said, I totally got it once they added carrier to pigeon.
Yes.
When she was saying pigeon, I would have said, what are the characteristics of a pigeon? Like,
Yeah.
what constitutes a pigeon here? But when carrier pigeon, I get it. You're right. Like, it's like they had to tell us what she meant, but now I get it. There's just so many people that want to twist the words of the other cast member in the most negative light so that they can foster conflict because this show is a sinking ship. But they're being gaslit by Andy Cohen and Bravo and all the accounts that are paid to talk about it or that want to be bartenders on Watch What Happens Live. So they go, this is iconic. Bryn says, me giving tap water to Aaron was iconic. Saying da 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 da, no, 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 no is iconic because there's
When
There's
Jenna gives the Christmas tree costume, size, like that's epic.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it?
Yeah, it's not, and I had to search my brain. I had to remember on Turtle Time when we were talking about the Christmas tree lingerie. Like I had to think back to that because it doesn't register.
Yeah.
From the comments on like Instagram on Bravo and stuff, it is 90% negative,
Hmm.
but 10 to 15% verified accounts saying I love this show more than life itself. Thank God old RHONY was scrapped.
Yeah.
Um, it,
Um, I also, it's funny because whenever they try to chide each other to add humor, you can tell that they don't have that kind of relationship. So it really like either falls flat or seems like they're offended. Like, um, I think Bryn says something to Jessel at the dinner table about like she
yeah.
was like you have a complainy voice or whatever, and then Jessel waits a second and she goes shut the fuck up, and you're like are you guys about to fight or are you being funny? Like I literally can't tell. And then at the breakfast table they joke about Jenna's money again. Like Bryn's like so Jenna does have money, and then Aaron's like, she just can't, doesn't pay for Ubers. And then Jenna's like, you can tell she's kind of like, fuck you. And then
Yeah.
she's like, I just wanted to make sure that Aaron could afford it. And I was like, this is so awkward. Like,
Yeah.
you're just like mad.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah, they're not like you said, they're not friends, they're not close. They don't have the camaraderie and they don't want to be friends. It
No.
doesn't seem.
Did you notice when they showed Sai's text to the group that their group thread is called RHONY 15?
I noticed it. Yeah, it's like what an organic
The cast.
yeah, what an organic group chat you guys have over there where it's just, hey, these are the cast members for season 15. You guys should talk on here about stuff.
Right. I'm like, nothing fun. Like,
Yeah.
I have a thread called Chodes. Like, I have,
Yeah.
there's no joke.
Yeah. No, yeah, no. It just said RHONY 15. We learned a new facet of Bryn's. I'm just kind of going through because there's nothing really to talk about. There was one last callback. They were like, Uba, we're getting breakfast from Provisions. And I was like, what the hell happened in Provisions? Like,
Right.
I barely remember that. No one
Right.
remembers the Uba Provisions
Not
thing.
epic.
But we learn a new facet of Bryn's character, which we talked about last week. She doesn't like cursing. She likes highbrow insults. She doesn't like to be told shut the fuck up. And I'm like, they're not going to roll back any footage of Bryn talking disrespectfully of anyone. She only has had highbrow insults for the
Right.
entire run. I was like, I don't know that to be true of you at all. This is a new
Right.
thing I'm learning that
We
people have
also
to.
reused her Nordstrom rack joke for her example.
What did she say that in regards to again?
Her example of highbrow insults was
Oh,
nice shoes. Did you get them at Nordstrom Rack? And she was like, I could find that kind of thing funny. And I'm like, okay. Um, but I will say, like, I'm Uba was like out of pocket. Like everyone was like, what is happening? Like
yeah.
part of why it was so confusing was because it kind of came out of nowhere and she wasn't expressing it very clearly. And someone said something and she goes, I think that's why Sai's not here at the table because she's sick of you guys twisting words or whatever. And Sai's like, when she does come out, she was just like doing her makeup or something. Like
Yeah.
wasn't, she was just not at the table at that moment.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that Sai and Uba, they have a safe word. So when Uba was
Right.
defending Sai to an extreme to which Sai took umbrage with, she said pineapple. And then Uba immediately stopped defending Sai. I was like, you guys have a off-screen safe word that you have to employ when Uba is defending you too much?
There you go.
As it,
Yeah.
the I got a spark of fun from Jessel. I'll give Jessel credit, even though Jessel is not. It's not been an amazing performance this season from Jessel. I did like when she was talking about the plot of Castaway. And she goes, "Pineapple, is that like Wilson, the pineapple that Tom Cruise brings to the island of
Couldn't be
Castaway?"
more wrong.
I love that. I think it was real, and I just love the idea. Like that is a movie. Tom Cruise on an island talking to a pineapple is completely in every way different. It would be talked about it in every aspect of it would be completely different than Tom Hanks with a soccer ball named Wilson. You know what I mean? I like
Yeah.
that was the movie she had in her head.
I think he did use like palm fronds in the volleyball or
Of
whatever. Like,
course. Oh, of course.
but
He gave Wilson hair. Oh, it's so
I love
sad.
that just like in her mind,
Uh,
her
they-
Rorschach test is she sees like a ball with like palm fronds and she's like pineapple.
you're right. Actually, when I think about Wilson's hair, it does make way more sense when she thought maybe that was the stuff on the top of a pineapple.
Well, like
Um,
the bloody paw print really wouldn't work. Not paw,
um,
hand.
Oh, on the pineapple?
Yeah.
If he got it cut trying to open it. Do you remember how sad it was when Wilson
Oh my
drifts off?
God, it's horrible.
He should have immediately. I know it's so sad, but he should have immediately made something else in the raft and said, "This
Yeah.
is Wilson's spirit." This is the only tangent I'll do, but that's Robert Zemeckis. And did you see that new? There's a trailer in RHONY where it's by Zemeckis, and it says, "Do you remember Forrest Gump?" And it says it's Forrest and Jenny,
Mhm.
but it's Tom Hanks and Robin Wright. Is that her
Yeah.
name? And they're de-aged completely with de-aging technology, and it's a full movie about them
Yeah.
from dating young or prehistory, from dinosaur age to like when they're visiting the house as an old couple saying, "We used to live here," like they're suffering from, they
Yeah.
barely remember that they lived in the house. I thought that was an interesting film.
He loves technology.
Yeah, he
He
really
loves
does.
to play with that.
It's make or break. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's gonna be
He
not good.
well, he was the one who was dying on the hill of that Beowulf technology.
Yeah.
What was that called? 2D. It was
No, and then he did the
motion
polar-
capture.
Oh,
Or
uh-huh.
what was it called? It had a full.
Well, they do use motion capture.
No, yeah, they do. They do. It had its own full history. It was Beowulf and Polar Express. They were the only two movies that were made with that, and he thought it was the future. Oh, and the Christmas Carol. But it looks like now he's like, oh, I love this stuff so much more, the de-aging
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, it's gonna be freaky when it really does get there. Like I saw the newest Indiana Jones, and there were times when it looked really
Oh,
good. Like
he
I
looks
was
great.
like, we're almost there. Like there were moments when it got a little weird where you're like uncanny valley, like kind of like freaky. But like a lot of the time I was like, it looks pretty good.
Oh, he looks great. They do. It's a well, people don't like it, or I guess if they're alive, it's a little better. If Harrison Ford said, "De-age the shit out of me, baby," I love that. But they were showing off the prowess because the first 20 minutes of the film have him doing that. It's like that's
Yes.
great. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. That came on during RHONY, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Megan immediately said, "Go to YouTube right now and show me that full trailer because I have no idea what this is." Do you think it just
Here or something?
here? Do you think it
Yeah.
just takes place in that one like corner of the house?
I think it does.
I'm seeing it. That was an
Is
instant
it
ticket.
Christmas or sooner?
That better come out right on Christmas Day. I was like 2 tickets right now for that. I just think that's an experiment that I want to see with the dinosaur stuff. It was just like it seemed too kind of odd. Yeah.
I won't belabor it because we have too much to talk about, but I did see that Night Live movie.
Oh my God. Okay. No, I want to spend
All I'll
at least
say is
three
that
or 4 minutes.
They don't show the whole thing, but they show the top of. It's implied that Milton Berle takes out his penis.
Oh, it's implied?
They
Do they
show the
say? What'd you say?
They show they show him like take it out of his pants, but it's just like the top of his dick. They don't show it like the whole flop.
Whoa! Just his like I don't want to be graphic, so skip
Yeah.
ahead, but just the pubis region.
Yeah.
Who's Milton Berle again?
He was like a huge star. But
Milton Berle took out his penis live on the.
He- I happen to know this. He apparently famously had a huge dick. So they were
Whoa!
playing on that.
Wow! So people who it didn't make it to air.
You know.
Wow! It did. This didn't make it to air, I
It was
assume, right?
backstage. There's a scene where Milton Berle is hitting on Chevy Chase's girlfriend, played by Kaya Gerber, and Chevy Chase is being an asshole to him, and he takes out his dick as proof that he is not to be messed with, that he is hot shit.
Oh, that's
And he
amazing.
goes,
Oh, I'm sorry. The entire story, I I thought it was Saturday Night Live, and he said, "I'm going to take out my penis live on air, so see if you can like edit this out or whatever." A test of the live capabilities. Okay, that makes. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it makes more sense than what I was thinking. I didn't know that famous SNL story at all. I was just listening. Did you listen to you got to listen to The Town, Matthew Bellini. You listen to The Town. They just had that SNL historian on, and he just went in on SNL 50 and the movie and stuff. You should listen to it. It's an interesting
because there's a lot of lore in the movie that I assume is true. Like Lauren, up until 30 seconds before, was supposed to do Weekend Update, like himself. Wow. And then Chevy Chase did it instead because Lauren was bad at it and too busy or whatever. And there was just like a lot of little things like that. Like Billy Crystal was supposed to be on the first episode but got cut for time.
Wow.
Little shit like that. And honestly, it wasn't as annoying as I thought. It was eye roll, but I was like, I thought it was gonna be much more annoying.
Good. So if I know you don't like to quantify, but if you were given a rough, given me something that I can hold on to out of a 1 out of 10, what would it be on the Amy scale of film?
Well, I feel like I'm like generous.
That's good to be generous. No, I mean, I
thought it was like technically proficient. Like it's basically happens in real time. So like there's a lot of like run and gun, like it's like walk and talk the whole time.
Oh wow.
And I thought it was like technically kind of cool, like the way that they did it. And I thought the actors were all pretty good for the most part. Like it made me, if I didn't know who they were, I felt like it's probably going to be a good predictor of like stars to come. Like I was like, if they made this movie 5-10 years ago, it would have been like Emma Stone, Jonah Hill, Brie Larson. Like it probably would. I have a feeling that like a lot of it's like up and comers, which I was kind of, I don't know.
Good.
I was entertained for the most part, but I don't know, maybe like a 6.5.
Okay, great. I know that sounds like you were saying a 6.5 to me. I think Jason Reitman is sort of overhated. I think people are taking a little bit of issue with they crammed the stress of the live show into like the 30 minutes before, and that was more like played out for weeks or whatever. But that's a good device to use to show the chaotic energy of that. How is the Fabelman's actor? Is he 2 for 2?
He was good.
Not great as Lauren?
No, it's just more that like Lauren is annoying, so you're like, shut up.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, I'll see Saturday Night Live, or Saturday night, but that's a rental for me, absolutely, for sure. Or HBO Max.
Living Airplane, I would say.
Damn. Airplane. Well, that is. You just told me so much good stuff about it. I'm very excited. So, I mean, I really think that was it. I think that the problem with RHONY is that we are belaboring stuff that does not need to be discussed anymore, and we're already starting out with such weak storylines that now we're absolutely running on fumes. I mean, what do fumes run on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I gotta say, the polar opposite of this, absolute polar opposite, is Salt Lake City. I said first episode was a slog stinker. I was like, what the hell's going on in Salt Lake City? Second episode, I was like, whoa, there's some merit here. Third episode, fourth episode, they're introducing new conflict. They're not running on the old garbage. Salt Lake City is so good. It's back to season 4 power, which I guess we're going to lead right there. But there should be new conflict being generated already on the third episode of RHONY. I mean, them even referencing that Uber, the paying for the Uber, like that is over. It's over. Yeah. You can't talk about that anymore. Jenna's not upset. Aaron's not upset, and Brynn can't pretend to be upset anymore. So it's not even a fun. It's really last episode. It was more fun to discuss. This one, because they're in a limited environment, just a one house, all of the worst instincts are there, where they just want to belabor everything, and there was nothing even to look at, like rock climbing and stuff like last week.
I know. I was like, I'm not recovered from how boring it was the last time they were in the Hamptons. Don't make me go back.
I know. That's how I felt too.
They
Yeah,
literally, we didn't say it, but when they got home from dinner, they were all like, good night.
yeah. They all
We
put
just
on.
went to bed.
Yeah, they all started yawning. Yeah. So not great. Not good. And I don't think we're overstating that it's bad. I don't think we're being haters. I think that most people, if you watch that, you're like, oh, that wasn't a very good episode of a Housewives franchise.
No, I saw today, I was going to bring it up during news that apparently Jenna was on, she was doing an interview to promote the new season. I guess they confirmed that she's engaged, which I didn't even know wasn't confirmed. Um, and she said that they're actively planning a wedding.
Wow.
And I saw someone say, like, can't wait to hear about her off-camera wedding.
Yeah.
Like,
Who said that? Someone.
um, it might have been Ira Madison,
Oh
from
wow, that's great.
um, but yeah, I'm like, I mean, because I watched a video, I'll say this. She did a Harper's Bazaar, like, shopping with Jenna kind of a thing. It was like a 10-minute video of her going to her favorite jeweler, like vintage jeweler, and her favorite, like, vintage store where she buys her jeans. And I was like, quite entertained
Yeah.
because I'm like, this is your lane.
Yes.
Like, I could watch a show like this all day long, like the way Rachel Zoe was, where it was all about like her picking stuff out, her
Yeah.
styling, her whatever. And I'm like, that is like cool. Like, she has so much knowledge. Like, I love her style. I listened to her talk about like denim, like fabrication for like 2 minutes. And I was like, I'm into this, but
Yeah.
like for her personal life, she's not giving. She doesn't
Yeah.
want to. So it's like, why did you do this again?
Yeah, this is the wrong reality show for her, and I do think she is actually engaging, just not in this context. I really like Jenna Lyons, but she just
Yeah.
does not want to. She's just not working in the realm of this type of show.
Yeah.
She had that Max show. I remember watching it like for 3 episodes about style or something. I remember she was much more fun on that show in that context, talking about style and like delegating. You
Yeah.
know,
Fun fact, I don't know if I still have it, but that show, Inside Baseball, was supposed to be on TBS first, which, they're all owned by the same juggernaut, so it ended up swapping, but I still have access to like a placeholder Facebook page for it because I was like maybe gonna work on it back at my old job. So I like have like I think maybe either uh it ended up being called something else or whatever, but I have like access to the original Facebook page.
oh wow, what was it? What was it called?
Jenna Lyons Styles everything.
Okay. Yeah, it was something else on Max where she had like a team. I
I
think
just remembered that I've met her. I
Jenna
just
Lyons.
remembered that. Oh my God.
Wow, we've been
Um,
talking about her for a long time.
at the SAG Awards. I don't even know if I don't know if I like formally was introduced, but she had like a area on the SAG Awards red carpet because it was on TNT and TBS, and they had like sort of like an integration where she was there, and I was like around her when she was like touring it and stuff. But I don't think I like talked to her or anything, but I just remember like I have been in the same room as her.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, good. That's
Forgot
great.
about
Wow. Good. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything more to discuss. If anything, comes up, we'll talk about it. But I was thinking maybe we move to something that's actually good and prompts
that.
a lot of discussion, and that's this week's Salt Lake City, which I
Yeah.
thought had a phenomenal title. I said, "Who the hell wrote this one?"
It
I was
sounds
like,
like one of our episode titles.
I know. Whitney Drew and her clues. I don't know if this episode actually earned that good of a
Yeah.
title, given how much, the Whitney storyline isn't that much of a part of it. But still, I was like,
Yeah.
damn, that's a good title. Good job, Salt Lake City. And this has the hallmarks of a great episode, of a Housewives franchise. There is the touching, beautiful Bronwyn story, which we'll discuss, and then it has the silly, zany, go on a zip line, get mud on your face, start an argument with Mary. It was
Yeah.
like it was almost a perfect episode. And I feel like we love the Milwaukee episodes too. Like this was great. Like
Yeah, it's been flying high, and like with this Bronwyn storyline that's seemingly completely organic and just like from the gods. Um, it's, people I was seeing on Twitter that some people were like, we really don't need Monica. Like we're forging a new path. And it's organic and fascinating.
it's you're right. It's true. I don't think we've even talked. I talked about Monica the first episode because I was like, why are we not referencing what happened in season 4? But I think Brittany and Bronwyn are both great additions. I mean, Brittany's bringing it too. She's more on the like chaotic scale, but
Yeah.
but Bronwyn is great. I mean, they're both great in this episode. So it
Yeah.
opens up with, like you said, this does seem really organic. Like I really feel like you would be able to tell if Lisa was just bringing this to the show and she already knew this. But the way Lisa and Bronwyn act in this scene made me
Yeah.
think this was just an organic new detail that they learned about each other. Do
Yeah.
you want to say how it starts with?
Sure. Yeah, so apparently it's off camera. Lisa and Bronwyn were traveling. They had a connecting flight together back from Milwaukee. And Lisa, I guess, said something like, Gwen, your daughter looks so much like you. And she says, no one ever says that. Everyone always says, she obviously looks exactly like her dad. And I was like, oh, I don't even know who that guy is because we haven't really talked about him. And apparently she showed Lisa a photo of her baby daddy, and Lisa was like, holy shit, I know him.
Yeah.
I'm really good friends with his parents. And then it goes even further and explains that he wasn't around in the first place, but when her daughter was like 2 years old, he died.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like crazy. And so then, yeah, it follows up. They're like at a nail salon or like getting massages or whatever. And Lisa, it's kind of vague about how she knows these people or who they even are, but apparently they were not cool to Bronwyn when it was revealed that she was pregnant. They were
Yeah.
basically like, go to
Why?
Europe and get rid of that thing. Like, do whatever you need to do to like get it off our plate. Like,
Yeah, go
get
on a
rid of
mission. Go on a mission somewhere, and
Yeah,
don't come back with a child.
yeah, and it sounded like they blamed her for it and
Hmm.
thought she was a bad influence and were not supportive in any way. And then he bailed off. And then for the past 18 years, her daughter's like almost 18,
Yeah.
they never got in touch, which I
Yeah.
think is insane, especially if your son literally died and you have his living
I know.
offspring. You don't want like to be part of that. Like that's crazy.
I thought so too. Yes, absolutely. And like you see the story from Bronwyn's eyes, and you're like, yeah, oh my god, like this is just a tragic story. I did think it was interesting that Lisa has like this. She had this alternate perspective her entire life with her relationship, and that she was in enough communication with them to immediately reach out to those parents and say like, I want to facilitate this and help this in any way. They say they're open to meeting her. I was like, wow, Lisa like really knows these people. They're
I
like
know.
they're
She
like
like went and saw the woman like the next day.
I assume this is like Mormon community stuff,
Mhm.
possibly. Like maybe they're really, I don't know, like
Yeah.
everyone like kind of knows each other, like through the church or whatever. There's, it is awful that what Gwen's grandparents did, but also I was just like Lisa. She kind of gives you the perspective from their side. Not that it's great, but she's just like this has been so tragic for them as well. They've been
Mhm.
heartbroken throughout this time, and estrangement like that, it happens more than you ever imagine. Even though you can never think that someone would do something, but like maybe you knew that you didn't want this to happen, and then your son's death was just so tragic for you that it's like you couldn't deal with something like this.
Yeah.
I know the happy ending and the beautiful thing is that they should have reconciled, but I also liked that it wasn't just painted like this evil side and that Lisa was actually representing the other thing. It just made it more nuanced, which I think was
Yeah.
more real.
Yeah. Bronwyn said that her dad was the recorder at their temple in Oakland, which I don't know what that means, but it,
You write down everything. You say
you take
pregnant,
notes.
pregnant, check mark. Um, on a mission trip, check mark. But I didn't know. You know what? I guess because we're learning about Bronwyn, but I didn't know. I forgot that she's very Mormon.
Right.
She went to BYU, Brigham
Yeah.
Young.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, she apparently found out that her ex died on Facebook. Like
Wow.
someone commented on his obituary and it was in her algorithm. And I'm like, shit, that's so crazy. And like she only has like 4 photos of him, which I guess would be true if you broke up with someone pre-Facebook,
Yeah.
and pre-Instagram. You probably don't have that many pics of someone from,
Right. Yeah, and
then.
Bronwyn says that. And Bronwyn is, she's amazing in this scene. I mean, this is as hard to talk about as it gets. And she,
Yeah.
she lays it all out there, and she has such a great, perspective on everything. And her relationship with Gwen, I mean, if we're just talking about this full subject,
Yeah.
like, I mean, her relationship with her daughter seems so healthy. Gwen seems to have an amazing, maturity about this whole thing. And then the
Yeah.
grandparents really get knocked a major point down, in my opinion, when this gets facilitated for them through Lisa, something that they should have done on their own, but maybe it was too tragic. But now
Yeah.
the it's open for them to do this, and they give a caveat, which I think is awful, a vague
Yeah.
caveat to Gwen. They said we look forward to meeting her, but only if she is in a place where she is ready to accept us. Which it's like
Like, what does that even mean?
it means you can't get mad at us.
Right.
It really it means don't we will only tolerate this in our life if it doesn't bring any negativity about our decisions or what we've done, which it's like that's not a real relationship. That
No.
is not feasible for Gwen
Yeah.
to do. You will always have just a completely cold relationship, even if you met them and got to know anything about your dad. If you can't talk about what happened for these
Yeah.
18 years that made you distance yourself from their granddaughter. I mean, I also, this is like horrible to say, but I fault, the Mormon religion on this one. Like,
Yeah.
no matter how much it benefits people, and I know it does, Lisa Barlow loves it. Who else loves it? Who else is Mormon on Salt Lake City? Just Lisa. Well,
Yeah.
Lisa loves it. I don't want to disparage it, but I do think their reaction to the unwedded child and the shame that they felt in the Mormon church and all that stuff, it's just like it's just a shame generator when you
Yeah.
know the real true thing, which Bronwyn says this, is a beautiful thing she says. She says, they think that the best thing I've ever done in my life is the worst decision I've ever made. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's so true. She would
Yeah.
never take back Gwen in a million years. She would never do anything differently. She got
Yeah.
this wonderful daughter that she wanted. And the grandparents should be like, we, we know how awful this is. Like, we know how awful this is, and we will accept you into our lives with absolutely no restraint. Whatever
Yeah.
you want from us, we will give you. And
Yeah.
that's not something they're
No,
willing to offer.
the scene with her daughter is very sweet and she seems like a good mom. Like she really just like she didn't like push her in any direction. And she took ownership for the fact that she's like, I didn't realize, like she's like, I always felt like me and you was enough, but obviously it's different for you than for me.
Yeah.
And like you of course feel that you're missing something even if you never knew him. Like of
Yeah.
course you want to know more about that. And I thought, yeah, she seems like a really good mom and she's like she was pretty classy about the whole thing. Like she did imply that they said horrendous shit, but she didn't like fully shit talk them. She was like, let you use your imagination to be like, they suck so bad, but I'm
She,
not gonna like get into it.
yeah, no, she did great with Lisa, and she could have been so offended by Lisa even giving them what an olive branch, for forgiveness. Bronwyn handled that so well, and how she talked to her daughter was actually like inspiring. I was like listening to
Yeah.
how she talked to her, and just like you said, it was more like, I want to hear how you feel about it. This was why I decided to do that, but I totally understand the opposite end of that. Like, it was a beautiful conversation,
Yeah.
to me. So that was great. I mean, it was like it brought Bronwyn to full color,
Yeah.
for me, just hearing all of that and getting to meet Gwen and everything.
Yeah. She's kind of in a sense lucky that it unfolded because I don't know if she would have ever brought up any of that otherwise because he's dead and I don't know, it seems like a sensitive subject like with her daughter and everything. So I feel like she was probably going to keep that to herself until further notice, and the fact that it came up naturally and she handled it really well. I'm like that's like a home run for
Yeah.
season 1, like your first,
Yeah, it
like,
absolutely
like
is.
unforgettable.
Yes, totally. Do you think like, and I only mean this from as a audience. I don't mean this for what it would mean for Bronwyn and Gwen, but do you think they're laying the groundwork for this to happen on camera, or is that too emotionally charged and sensitive to where they would only talk about it after the fact if it happens?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like these people wouldn't be down with that. It's all very Teen Mom. I watched Teen Mom still. I'm actually behind. It keeps coming back and I never know that it's back and then I have to binge it. But like there's a lot of stuff about like there's a couple on there that gave their daughter up for adoption and there was an agreement for them to get to visit like annually and then sometimes the adoptive parents don't honor that
Wow.
and it's like very complicated and like sad. So I keep thinking about that because it's giving like you want to be protective. Like I understand why she never wants to see those people again if it's up to her. Like
Right.
she hates them and like they kind of fucked over her daughter by not showing interest. So the selfish and understandable thing would be like fuck them, we don't need them, you don't need to hang out with them, like
Yes.
they suck.
Yeah.
But she's like you already don't have a dad, like if you want to have this family that is yours and they hold all of the answers that you need, like I cannot take that away from you, but it's gonna suck so bad for me,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah. It sounds like the dad really made a horrible decision too. I mean, he's 18 or whatever, so you can't like who knows, like it's like people don't even have their brains developed when they're
yeah,
18, but still, I mean, it's such a bad decision all around. It's horrible, but this really happens. Like you said, it's on Teen Mom every week.
yeah,
So that was great, and that was like the first 20 minutes of the episode,
yeah,
which was amazing.
yeah,
And then it kind of keeps giving. We get Brittany's Jared Osmond journey is not concluded yet.
the love
Jared
bombing.
Jared love bombed the shit out of Brittany when she got back. I said it looked like he went on the super Toys R Us toy run for her and bought everything he could get. He got her a unicorn, a big stuffed unicorn. He got her a bunch of flowers. He got a card, which I read the card. They let you read it. It said it was in such such how do you describe this language? Such
So clinical, I didn't read it.
clinical language. He goes, I have come to the understanding, parentheses, from a credible source, in parentheses, that your new friends on the show helped come to the decision to dump me. How sad. So he's really breaking the fourth wall all over this card. I can't believe they let us read this. Everyone should pause and read what he said. But I think it's so funny to me that I feel like Jared Osmond is pretending that Brittany and him had. I don't know if this is true, but it seems like he is describing the relationship in one way, like we're just best friends. But then when you
Yeah,
see the shit he's doing, he was texting her paragraphs, like the longest text threads I've ever seen. Like he
yeah,
clearly, like you said, it's love bombing. Like he
yeah.
was
At,
giving Brittany all the signs that he is fully wants to be in a relationship with her.
yeah, at this point, after we'll get there, but their like date or whatever, I at this point find him scary.
I find him more boring than I thought. I get the scary vibe. I get the scary vibe, but he doesn't give me. He's not giving me even Louis or Ryan. He's
Yeah,
giving me more person who's been tangentially related to a celebrity, so it gives them entitlement issues and makes them overly confident. But I was kind of disappointed.
yeah,
He didn't even give me that much villainous energy. He just felt like sort of a boring guy who I think is only doing all of this because it's on the show. And I
yeah,
think that Brittany got on the show because of her relationship to Jared Osmond. It's definitely something that like entices me. It's just funny and
yeah,
and so I think that he is a person sort of like more I would say he's more like John Jansen.
hmm
Like a I get because people think John Jansen is a horrible person. He's like a low level John Jansen to me. He wants to be on the show. That's why he's doing so much shit. And that's
yeah,
why he wanted to appear on camera. And he's faking like he wants to be a private person. Lisa Barlow said that anytime he goes into a room, he says, guess what my last name is? Osmond. I'm one of the Osmond boys. So You know what I mean? That's kind of the vibe I got from him, but he was actually more boring overall than I thought he would be.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's just, I mean, when she, even in under her haze, she described him as persuasive, if not manipulative. And like you can see that when they're talking because he's being very like stern with her. And his like weird thing where she was like, I feel like she's like, you don't post me on social media, like, you know, you are still on the apps or whatever. And he's like, when we're in public, I hold your hand. We have kissed in public, historically.
Right.
And she like basically asked him to commit, and he's like, I've given you everything I can. And she's like, okay, I guess that's my answer. And he's like, let's put a pin in it.
Yeah.
Like he just is admitting straight up that he wants to string her along and do whatever version he wants to do, regardless of
Yeah.
what she wants.
Yeah, I think he's like Heather Gay said. He's a major, player and wheeler and dealer in the Mormon community. He's like he's like a pig at the trough. Is that what they eat out of? Troughs?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he wants to be on the show, have this relationship with Brittany, who absolutely loves him, but then he also wants to break up with her and have sex with random people that he DMs on Instagram in the city. And then, Brittany kind of does, takes us the wrong way. I'm okay that she did it, but she starts to blame Lisa for taking over command of her phone on the Milwaukee trip and sending very cold text to him, making fun of him calling her bestie all the time. She says stuff like, I forget what she texted. She was like, okay, bestie, enough. Or, okay, enough, bestie. And then Brittany starts to resent her because Jared love bombed the shit out of her and made her think like maybe they could repair this and be on the road to a relationship. But now he's blaming Lisa for saying, she ruined everything between us. You should have never let us read your private text. So that's now going to be a major hindrance for us going forward. So now Brittany resents Lisa, even though she loved it at the time.
Totally.
Yeah.
We also get the whispers that apparently the hotel that they stayed at in Milwaukee called Whitney and was like, just so you know, one of those bitches like threw your jewelry in the trash. We found it. And she was like, what room number? And did the math and realized it was Lisa Barlow. And so then she starts to be like, holy shit, I think she's the one behind this Alibaba thing. And if we want to just stay on like that topic through to see it through to the title, she apparently has a mole, a podcaster mole.
Yeah, it's this guy Up and Adam.
Okay.
He spreads a lot of, I just want to say, he spreads a lot of fake news. He was like a huge Raquel or Rachel Leviss is at Miraval dancing around and stuff. I think he spread the Rachel is pregnant rumor. There's no scruples here with his journalistic integrity. He's spreads a lot of fake news. But yeah, this whole story is completely fake to me, but you keep describing it and I'm going to say my thoughts.
Yeah, so apparently he has a connection to whatever Instagram posted about the Alibaba thing.
I want to know which Instagram. We know all of them. Like,
I know.
Is it Queens of Bravo? Is it
like who is it? And she asked him to ask them who it was that they got this information from, and they did confirm it was someone from the cast.
Yeah,
but they were like, deep throat style, they were like, I cannot tell you who it is, but you can ask me a series of questions.
Kind of like doesn't Jigsaw act like that?
Yeah. He's just riding around on his little tricycle. Yeah. And so they were like, do they have a jewelry brand? Do they have a skincare line?
No.
And they're like, do they have a liquor brand?
And then click.
Like, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. And then Whitney Drew, she goes, oh my God. Of the cast members on this show that I'm on, only of the 6, 1 has the liquor brand. So that must mean Lisa Barlow did this. And I'm like, oh my God. So Lisa Barlow knew that you were doing Alibaba shit, and she sent it to Queens of Bravo, whoever the hell reported on this. We can't even find out who the hell reported on this first, so that they would talk about it. And instead of the easier theory, the Occam's razor of the situation, was that someone found this out and reported on it, because all of this shit gets dissected and reported on.
Yeah.
I do not believe, I mean, if it comes out, and it is, but I really do not believe Up and Adam, and I don't believe Whitney here, that Lisa Barlow started this. And do you think it's possible?
Yeah, I was like trying to imagine it where I'm like, is she really like wheeling and dealing online like that? Like,
No. Especially after the Monica shit, no.
yeah.
I think this was Whitney trying to have a receipts, screenshots, timeline moment. There's so much that she wanted a Heather moment, and this is her Heather moment. A secret mole in the cast that's trying to sabotage me or whatever. I don't think Lisa has time to fuck with Whitney Rose like this about this
Right.
Alibaba shit. I think that it's more likely that some account discovered this and wanted to run with it because it's interesting. I was very, so I didn't like this at all, and she doesn't end up bringing it up in this episode to Lisa, because it's like going to be teased for the next week, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we get a little Angie is picking up Mary to go to a dance class for some reason, but we get a little interlude between Mary and her son where he really just seems like lost.
I was going to say he's one of the sleepiest people I've ever seen captured on film.
I know, he's always like, I gotta go lay down. And she's like, I want him to get a job. I want him to be like functional in society, but it's really not a good time for him because if he got a job, like his attention span isn't good. Like it would not be a good fit.
I think Robert Jr. would be falling asleep at any job that he had. He was so sleepy. Who's the most sleepiest figure in all of culture? Like Rip Van Winkle. What'd you say?
The Snow White.
Snow White famously is so tired. Rip Van Winkle, he was sleepy as hell. He walked out of his room. You could tell he had a yawn going on. He almost had those cartoonish Z's coming out of his head. And he yawns and he goes, Mom, can I have some money? And she goes, for what, Robert Jr.? And he goes, food? And she goes, what did she say? She goes, money is good for food, but you need to treat your body better. And he goes, okay, I got to go back to sleep now, Mom. I was like, what?
Yeah. Also, I think while she was in Milwaukee, he asked her to cash app him like $60 or something. And I'm like, he needs to shape up.
Yeah, I mean, but I was envious of that lifestyle for a little bit. I don't want it right now, but when you're in your 20s, to be able to sleep like that and then play video games and then order food every single day. But I've never seen anything like it. That was a sight to behold. Oh, I do want to say that in it, like another like just sort of like little thing that happens, but I did like that the episode started with little Henry absolutely obsessed with playing this video game, like an Xbox or whatever. He's like playing Fortnite.
So close to the screen.
He's sitting so close to the screen, and Lisa goes, she was like, do you want to eat food? And he was like, not now, or whatever. And then that comes back, which is great editing. Because Angie, now, she's going to war with Lisa. I don't know why the hell she's doing it. I talked about this last week. Yeah. Don't do this, Angie. This is horrible. I don't know why you want this feud with Lisa. It seems unearned. But she said, me and Elektra have a wonderful relationship. At least I don't let Elektra sit for hours in front of a TV screen playing video games like Lisa does.
Right. Which, that's not going to go well, especially because Heather is the pigeon these days.
Yeah. But at least pigeon-wise, Heather relays stories accurately.
That's true.
And relays them judiciously.
Yeah. Before we move on, because there won't be anything, I have nothing to say about that dance class or whatever, but I just wanted to note that when Angie calls Mary to pick her up, she says, your charity awaits.
I noted that too. She meant, I have to assume she meant chariot.
Yes. And
right?
then Mary immediately was like, your car smells like onions.
Yeah. Did you see that funny thing? Where Mary, her sense of smell, did you see that on Watch What Happens Live? They put a bunch of stuff under her nose and tried to see if she could huff it and get a sense of what it was. And she wasn't as accurate as you would think.
Oh, wow.
She didn't know what garlic was.
Okay.
Um, well, anything else to say? They did see one of my favorite moments comes from them seeing Heather's daughter in that dance
Right.
class. But the dance
Was
class
that like
did.
a coincidence, or that's why they went there? I was confused.
I think it was a real, actually, actual true coincidence. It seems just
Yeah.
really odd and random, and they didn't really talk to her.
Right.
And I don't even know what the purpose of the scene was between them dancing.
Right. I guess just to establish that they're an allyship. And because then later, Heather, Mary, Brittany, and Lisa go ziplining for some reason. And again, I'm shocked that Mary is participating in these things, but then it's revealed that apparently she loves ziplining and has been many times.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can imagine Mary not liking zip lining,
Yeah.
but she absolutely loves it. She didn't like the car ride though, because
No.
unfortunately they go through mud and they get mud all over themselves, and Heather gets mud
She
on her
never
face.
gets it off.
Yeah, and she never gets it up. They zip line, and they sit down for a little what's that called? Like a tailgating experience, a
Yes.
little wine and cheese on some tables. And this was the funniest conversation. I mean, to me, I don't think I thought it was so silly. It's like
Yeah.
Mary is like she's being so funny. I don't know what it is. I think they're editing out all of her mean spiritedness and they're only leaving us with funny. But Brittany and Lisa go, "You went to a dance class with Georgia or whatever. How did that happen?"
Yeah.
And Mary said, "Oh, I don't know. The wind blew her to me and I blew it back." And and Brittany goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted a real answer. How did you see Georgia? I'm confused." And Mary gets mad. She goes, "I just said it. Through the wind. The wind blew us together." And then Heather, because Mary is completely distracted and eating food, Heather goes, "Oh, I think that they just went to a dance class and Georgia happened to be there or whatever." So she explains it and
Yeah.
she goes, Heather goes, "Was that it, Mary? Was that what happened?" And Mary doesn't even dignify. She goes, "Uh huh."
Yeah.
And I love that they think that something else is going on. Brittany and Lisa don't, because of how Mary is talking about the story. They think that it must mean something more.
Yeah.
But Mary is just purposefully using very odd language to describe
I
what
know.
happened between this run.
Being very dodgy about it, and then
But I don't think she's being dodgy. I think she's just like she doesn't care to answer.
but it did seem like maybe part of it was that she didn't want to say she was with Angie because that's finally the detail she gives where she's like, I was with Angie, and Lisa obviously is like in a feud with Angie right now.
Right.
So I was like, maybe that's what she was trying not to say. But then yeah, Mary kind of goes after Heather in an entertaining way. She's like, you're always in the middle of something, and it's two-faced the way that you're, taking sides or telling information to whoever. And because I think she's saying she should have more loyalty to Angie because she's known her so long.
But yeah, but my counter to that is that last season, if I remember correctly, they grew up together. They were in high school together, but Heather and Angie did not like each other. Like Angie
Right.
was like the bully or something. She said. So
Yeah.
you don't just have loyalty to someone that you've known longer. They didn't have a relationship before the show.
Right. And then she goes for it. She goes, you always are leaving a trail of lies, like the black eye. And then she brings up that her body positivity was a lie because then they kind of did like rip from the headlines, like that she's on Ozempic and that she had said that body positivity itself is a lie because people always act like we all celebrate people
Mm,
of all shapes and sizes and we all act like we are, being our best selves. But ultimately, when you do lose the weight, everyone's much happier and she's saying basically the public wants you to be thin. Like that's what she's
right.
saying, which I
Yeah.
think is interesting. Like I'm very interested in that topic, just like myself. So, but it was fucked up. I was like, Mary, you are not the one that I want to talk to about this at all.
Right. 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 I thought she was like shaming her for being on Ozempic, but
Yeah,
saying that but then saying
she
that
was.
yeah. I didn't understand. I mean, what I do like about Mary, I'm giving her a lot of credit. Mary has done horrible things, and I've been, I haven't loved Mary in the past, but I do like that Mary doesn't just bring up stuff unprompted because she's trying to make compelling television. She really felt this way, and one of the detail, or one of the things she brings up about Heather being a liar, is definitely the black eye thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Heather lied for almost 2 seasons about that, but I didn't agree with her about the body positivity thing. But this didn't seem like this is going to register and provide a shockwave between Mary and Heather. It seems like they both know what each other is saying. Mary just uses she used inflammatory language, but they're going to get past this in the next episode.
Yeah, you can tell that everyone takes what Mary says with a grain of salt. Like they're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, Heather's probably like, I've heard much worse.
Yeah, you
from
already
her.
called me inbred, bitch.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that was interesting. And then it appears that Angie's gonna have a Mob Wives themed anniversary party next week, which I was like, that's a fun idea, which I guess puts it in time and place. Because remember, like Mob Wife fashion was trending like 6 months ago or something.
Shit, no, I missed
I think
that.
it was a
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I liked also Bronwyn had a good joke. She was like, I should have told the Todd father what I was dressing like. And I was like, that's kind of fun because I missed Todd this episode.
The Todd
Um,
Father.
yeah.
I love him.
Oh, yeah. Anything
Yeah,
else?
yeah.
Yeah. Great episode. I think we got it. Did we talk about Jared Osmond enough?
Never enough, but he'll be back.
Yeah, I think that for me, just the interesting part was that Brittany turned it on Lisa, and you could tell Lisa's kind of like, hey, can I get a break here?
Yeah.
Whitney's coming after me. Angie's coming after me. And now Brittany's coming after me. And the Bronwyn thing, I was surprised. It sounds like even though Bronwyn was pissed at Lisa in Milwaukee, it sounds like on the plane flight home, they buried the hatchet because now they have this like beautiful thing between them.
Yeah.
So at least Lisa has one ally, and she has Heather. But everybody else wants a piece of Lisa this season.
It's true. All right. Well, I could use a piss break. So do you want to we'll break and then do a quick, do you want to do Potomac and OC? We'll do a quick Potomac into OC when we get back.
Absolutely perfect. Let's do exactly what you just said, a certified turtle piss break, and then we'll be back talking about this week's episode of Potomac, which you can't imagine how much stuff Amy and I are putting in this episode, and then we'll talk about last week's OC and this week's OC. So stay tuned with us at Turtle Time. I hope you enjoyed this hour and 50 minutes so far, and we'll be right back after this turtle piss.
BRB.
Well, Amy and I are burning the candle at both ends. We're back.
Yeah, next time you guys get mad at us for not including every single show, just know that we do not get screeners, so we have to literally watch it as it airs and
Yeah.
record
I
into the midnight hours.
yeah, I feel like we're in that movie here.
Yeah,
Do,
please de-age me.
yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about, that film?
I remember from 2 hours ago, whenever the hell we were talking about that.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about. There's a lot of stuff on the Bravo docket, but Amy and I do our best to talk about every single piece of it. So in regards to that, Amy and I want to talk about this week's episode of Potomac. Last year, if you'll remember, if you're a fervent Turtle Time listener, you know that Amy and I fell off Potomac quicker than what's an analogy like that? We fell off fast, but now we are not going to let that happen because now that we've seen how shitty, shows can be like RHONY, I want to honor the shows that are really good, and Potomac does not deserve to be short shrifted by Turtle Time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we felt like we got the pass because it seemed like the fandom at large had sort of moved on. So we were like, all right, we don't need to, work too hard to get that in under the wire. But
I think that was an internet narrative. To be honest, I think that was a false sense of the consensus that we had, because we said that once the shrine stuff was happening, we were like, okay, we were writing Potomac off. But in actuality, it had 18 episodes. It had a 3-part reunion. It has the Mia shit that we're going to be talking about
yeah,
that comes up in this episode. It's I think it was overall probably a good, well-rated season for the most part. I think we just let the
We just
consensus and
wanted to be off the hook.
yeah, we use that as an excuse, but I find Potomac, like we've talked about, to be very refreshing and fun, and it has a great cast. So I want to do the due diligence here. And this episode that we want to talk about, it's called Double Trouble.
Yes.
And the reason why this title happened is because there's two events that are taking place in this episode. That's kind of the main big deal. Karen had an award. She was being honored with an award, and it just happened to be right around the exact same time that Giselle and Ashley are hosting a major event for brain tumors for their G&A brand. So that's kind of the conflict here.
For brain tumors.
Yes. Well, it's an event to honor, well, not honor, but it's Karen's getting honored. This is to raise awareness for brain tumors. And my first question for you about this is, how did G&A go from being an athleisure brand,
Yeah.
where they make clothes and stuff, to then being switched to now being a sort of like
health and
wellness brand that is spotlighting or highlighting brain cancer?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those, it seemed like the G&A, because the G&A sort of whole brand got just completely switched, right?
Health and wellness category is giving scam. Concerned about that pivot.
Yeah, because it was kind of like they gave up on whatever G&A was last season. They said this is what G&A is now. It's a cause that's very dear to Giselle's heart because her dad died of brain cancer. But I was just like, when did this pivot happen, and does anybody have any questions?
Well, I took it as they're pivoting to health and wellness, which I assume means they're gonna sell like gummies or some bullshit. And then since they're in the health category, she kind of double dipped to say, let's have this fundraiser that's also promotional, but also for a good cause. But like, it felt like, I don't know why the brand really needed to be involved, except that I guess they were sponsoring it. But
Okay, that makes more sense. It's more of like G&A is hosting this sort of event, which is tangentially related to wellness. It's not that they're
it's
fully
brain tumor gummies.
Yeah, right. I just thought that they had maybe given up on G&A as that type of business and were just reworking it to be something else because maybe the G&A athleisure brand was sort of fizzling.
Right. Yeah, I mean, from what they were showing on the show, like none of the clothes were ever became available.
Right. Before we get to that, there is a nice sort of a Wendy and Giselle moment. They've had sort of a rocky relationship. I think that Giselle is really harsh on new cast members and really gives them the business for as long as she can. So Wendy and Giselle have had sort of a long simmering feud. But Giselle, because I think she's noticing the way the wind is blowing in terms of losing some alliances potentially with Robin, she says, let's get the OGs to rally together. I'm ready to have a Wendy time of my life. And Wendy loves it. She goes, I cannot believe that Giselle went from, not wanting to even hug me last season to having a full-blown fish dinner or lunch with me. And they kind of get past their grievances with each other, which, was good.
Even though the restaurant was out of Branzino, which was heartbreaking.
I know. I really enjoyed that they took the 30 seconds to have the server go up to them and say, hey, I'm so sorry, Wendy, but we're out of the Branzino. And she goes,
That's real though. That's like when that happens, it kills the vibe so hard.
I know, when you're so hungry. Oh my God, yeah. I was thinking in this moment, there's a scene in Boardwalk Empire that happens, but I'm not going to make this any longer than it needs to be. But then they get I think they get caught or something. And then they kind of bond. So Giselle said, I always thought you were condescending to me. I always hated you, but let's bury the hatchet. I absolutely want your friendship now. And then they start to talk shit about ink. A little bit more ink humor. And Wendy and Giselle laugh their asses off because Giselle says, let's just say that Mia and Ink don't see eye to eye.
I like just stupid shit like that. Did you see
Yeah.
that Mia in apparently the taglines came out? They didn't air, but they released them, and Mia included ink in hers.
I love that. You sent it to me and I passed over it too quickly. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't give it any proper scrutiny, but marriage can be temporary, but ink is permanent. I think that's a great one.
Yeah.
Um, were there any other good ones that we want to highlight before we move forward?
Um, ooh, this sounds like something we would say. When the girls are away, it's time for Giselle to play.
Oh, I like that, and I thought the same thing. That sounds like when the cat is away, the mice will play.
Yeah.
That one's great. That one's really good.
Yeah. Wendy, I quit grading, but I'm still passing judgments.
Right. Because Wendy quit being a professor in the first that was the first episode of the season, right?
Yeah.
She said, I respectfully resign from being a professor.
Do you think she really sent that email in that moment?
I don't think so. I
She
don't
really
think so.
acted like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the ink one. Ashley said from kiddie pools to the dating pool, I'm ready to dive in. And and then Stacey said, I know how to host a show and to steal one too.
Okay.
Um, so
Kierna, I think is her name. I own a business, I mind my business, and I stand on business.
I like that. And then lastly, we got Karen Huger. She goes, Darling, I am the fence and the gatekeeper.
What's the origin of the fence? Because
I,
last year it was a fence too.
yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I'll have to go back and research that Potomac moment. Little Turtle Cuties or Villa Rosa VIPs, let us know what Karen is referencing. But those are good taglines. And, this cast, unlike RHONY, this cast is just funny and fun. And
Yeah.
they can make a scene where somebody doesn't get the Branzino, and they can just be good. And you can watch for 4 minutes of Wendy and Giselle talk about anything, and you're like, oh, scenes can be good
Yeah.
like this. And speaking of great scenes, I have to highlight that I think Stacy is an amazing new cast member.
Yeah.
Obviously, cast members are so hit or miss. It's the make or break. There's like a 50% chance they're going to be the biggest dud you've ever seen in your life. I
Yeah.
think that Stacy, I'm not going to fully buy all Stacy stock, but I think that her scenes that she had this episode were great.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, she's beautiful. I love the QVC element. That's very Housewives. Obviously Lisa Rinna had her QVC stuff, but I feel like next to being on like a soap opera, it's like very perfect
yes.
housewife job.
It's absolutely perfect, and then she absolutely shines in the scene with her daughter. A real testament to a great new cast member is if they can have a solo scene and you're entertained by it, and then the fact that you find out that they have very fun family members is an added bonus. So Stacey just gets this 5 to 6 minute scene with her daughter, and it was so much fun. Her
Yeah.
daughter is learning 3 languages. Her dad is German, so she's learning German, Spanish, and English.
Yes, I
I guess
believe
you
she.
count that.
Yeah. And then yeah, it's like revealed that her living situation is kind of interesting. Like her daughter doesn't know that her parents are separated, and so they're technically living under the same roof, but she has an apartment and they also have a home. Did she say they have or had a home in Germany? I forget.
Yeah, I forget that as well.
Um,
Um,
but that's all ripe for drama later. It's great that she's joining the show on the heels of a separation because now she's dating. And just to tease it, I'm very intrigued by this relationship situation. She reveals that it was some guy that she met through QVC, I believe. Like he was like a actor or a host or something, and they got into a relationship, but he's super Christian, so they are not having intercourse, and don't plan to do so before marriage.
right. So that blows Ashley's hair back completely. She goes, "How the hell are you going to not have sex with this man?" And he doesn't want to. Yeah, he doesn't want to have sex even until he's married. They already haven't had sex, and then no more
Despite
sex.
her having a grown, like, 10-year-old child. Um,
Right.
and everyone will be really chill and cool about this. Not gonna be a problem at all for anyone.
Right, and Ashley won't tell anybody else that this is going on, and it will have no effect on the season. Yeah, and I really did. I thought Arabella was really funny as well. Like she's got a fun daughter there too.
Yeah.
Um, well, anything else you wanted to highlight before we got to the main crux of this episode?
There was a fun Giselle and Karen scene that set up that they had two separate events coming. I liked that they worked in. Giselle's like, "Oh, did you take an Uber?" And Karen's like, "If Beyonce can have a driver, I can have a driver." And Giselle's like, "I thought you had a driver. His name was Blue Eyes, remember?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot about that." That
Me
was a
too.
great callback. Also, did you notice something weird happened where I don't know if they only had like one angle on this, but at one point the cameraman like sprints over to like like something
Whoa.
really weird happens where the cameraman like runs over to them for no reason, and I was like, what is happening here?
Well, just to capture their conversation?
I guess I don't know if he like got something in his ear that like he was needed a better angle, but
Wow,
I
I didn't
it's
notice that. I think it's sad that they're not. I think when cast members have had such an impact and then they get fired or they leave, I think you should still reference them more. I feel really bad that they haven't referenced Robin or Candace at all.
that's
Like,
true.
they cast members should be able to sigh. Like Giselle should be able to sigh and go, "I miss Robin." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah. I am surprised though at how little I miss them for how much entertainment I do think they brought me. I have felt fine.
I think so too. I really I haven't. It hasn't been a noticeable absence.
Yeah.
Without them, I'm having just as much fun. But I don't know. I just when they're so a part of the legacy of the show, I think it's just like it's more real to just say like, oh, what would Robin do if she was here? Because that's real life. She would be
Right.
referencing her friend Robin and why she's not at any of these events.
That's true.
But it sounded like the Karen award thing was like last minute. Like they had heard about it. Giselle had heard about it 3 months ago, but then she says somebody backed out, and then Karen became the honoree
Okay.
at this thing, and it was told very last minute. And also, Karen didn't tell Giselle that it was going to completely conflict with the
Right.
time of the GNA charity
She
event.
claimed she didn't know what time it was at. And I was like, you don't know what time the event that you're the honoree is at?
Yeah.
And I love when Giselle was like, I got that invite a long time ago, and guess whose name wasn't on it? And she's like, Karen the Freak Huger.
Yeah, that's so funny too. And it is like I don't care about I care about her I care about her DUI, but it's not being that much talked about. But it is funny that they honored someone a week or whatever, a month after they just and then drove into a tree drunk and had all those violations. And then Giselle goes, "What are they honoring her for? Running into a tree?"
That was great. I also, when we were just reading the taglines right now, the top comment on Bravo was that Karen should have been, I ran into the fence, but I am the fence. Or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be pretty good too. And then Karen kind of put, I'll just say, she put these new cast members, these sort of friend ofs slash new full time cast members. She really put them in a pickle as to what you're supposed to do in
Yeah,
this scenario. Giselle is really mean about it. She kind of writes them off. She goes, "If you're even considering going to Karen's stupid fucking event, don't come to mine at all."
right.
Um, it,
Ashley's more like, just make sure you don't come too late because that would be rude. But it was weird that Karen at the beginning was like, I'll definitely come to your event. But then when it actually shakes out, there was no way that she could have ever come.
No, it's from it was from 6 to 9. Giselle's event was ending, I think, at 9. So Karen couldn't have come. And also Karen's event, no offense to Karen, I think that this is a cool event, but they weren't allowed to film at her event. So it's all iPhone footage
Uh,
and no one signed releases. So this event was not ready for prime time. It's not
right.
really a dueling event. Karen should not have subjected the cast to go to this event at
Yeah.
all to take away from Giselle. So I think that's a part of why Giselle was really mad, and the fact that it was really last minute.
Yeah, I did like that the girls, they were trying, the new girls were trying to be respectful and they were like, we really have to get there by 8. They kept asking the driver, like, what's our ETA? And then when he's like 8:04, they're like, yay!
Yeah, they were being really sweet about it. They were. This was a tricky situation for them to navigate as new cast members. That's why I
Yeah,
kind of blame Karen. They think, oh, what do you do on a show like this when the two heavy hitters invite you to something on the same day? I obviously trust that Giselle and Karen have worked this out, and there's transportation. We're filming a show, so obviously we can go to both. But that's not how Giselle wants to handle this at all.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's Stacy, Jassy, and Mia are the only ones that say, "Let's get out of Karen's event." Wendy decides, "Hey, if I haven't seen Karen get an award, I'm not going to this thing."
right.
So so she stays at Karen's event, but then the other ones are really trying to make it work. Like you said, they're calling Ashley, they're giving updates constantly, but Giselle is absolutely, so pissed by the time they arrive.
Yeah, if anything, I feel like Karen should be more mad because they were there for like 1 minute.
Yeah, but I think Karen knows what she was asking of them and really did want it to be a test of who she could pull away from Giselle's event in a way, you know?
Right. Yeah. But yeah, Giselle was not having it. The second that they came through the doors, she just starts being like, no, 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 no. Like, please leave. Don't even come in. Like, absolutely not, which I don't really get.
I think it's a over exaggerated reaction, but it was definitely shocking to me. And you look at Stacy's face, and she is absolutely mortified. And I felt so bad for her because, like you said, she was trying to do the best she could under these circumstances. And Giselle is so mad, and she gets security
Oh my
to
God.
walk them out.
That was beyond.
Yeah.
It was kind of a cliffhanger, so I'm sure shit will go down next week, but no, the security was so unnecessary.
Yeah, it really was. And Ashley, this is half her event, and she
Yeah,
wasn't nearly even close to being as mad as Giselle. She kind of ran over to try to
right,
tamp it down.
right. Which I guess if you want to bring in the fact that it was like in honor of her father, pretty much, that maybe she was more sensitive about the like seriousness of the event, whereas for Ashley, it's more just like, I'm here to support you, Giselle. This is our brand, but this is more for you, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure absolute chaos will ensue once the security guard is pulled. But yeah, I felt like it was kind of it was an enjoyable episode, but I feel like there's not much that needs to be
No, I mean,
dissected.
yeah, I mean, we talked about the Branzino fish, and
She
yeah, that was
she doesn't suck her oysters. She uses a fork.
yeah, and just congratulations on highlighting Stacy and casting someone that seems great so far. It's kind of like the Bronwyn pick on Salt Lake City. It's like, damn,
Yeah.
all right, we're doing some good casting here. I mean, they obviously consider NECA such a huge flop.
Hmm.
Like that was like the worst case scenario when you cast someone and immediately upgrade them to full time cast member.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they made a good decision with Stacy here. Good, yeah, I liked it too. I thought it was enjoyable, but not a lot to really discuss.
Yeah.
But maybe maybe more to discuss here is going over to Real Housewives of Orange County, and we didn't talk about OC last week, and people were clamoring for it. Did you hear people asking?
It's true, but get used to it because we're not doing it next week either.
Oh my God, OC
Every
is
other right now.
yeah. Well, so we'll be able to talk about last week as we talk about this week. I don't know. I actually thought last week's was a lot better, but
Yeah.
we can we can, I guess, interweave some stuff from last week so that we make sure that we are highlighting it, properly. But there are a lot of through lines from last week's episode, that come up here. It's the first
Yeah.
day of the London trip.
Right. Yeah, I would say the main the start of last week that ends up coming up again in this is that the women go to get mammograms, which I mean, obviously the housewives in general. I remember Beverly Hills did this before. I think Kyle Rinna and Erica went and got mammograms on
Okay.
Beverly Hills, which I'm like, Housewives generally is like a show for women, so I think that's cool to like put that in. I'm like it should be mandatory on every city just to like remind people. Um,
And that's what
but
Heather wanted to do.
yeah, it sounded like produced by her.
we found out this week. She goes, "This is important for people, to see. So let's spotlight this."
Yes. And it was crazy because straight out of the jump, Jen reveals that she's had a lump that she has not gotten looked at for, I think she said 6 months.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, are you fucking serious? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good thing for her to talk about because I'm sure people do that all the time because
Yeah.
it's too scary or whatever. Um, but I was like, that's shocking, and this is a perfect place for it to come up.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it turns into this drama where everyone seemingly mostly gets the clear in the moment, but on the way out or at the end, they pull Heather aside and say, everything looked good today, but they do this risk factor calculation and judging by the score is like if they know if they need to do further testing or whatever, which is actually what happened to Olivia Munn and how she found out she had breast cancer because her risk factor was like based on family history and stuff way higher than it should have been, which then she got a what is it, a CAT scan is the next level after a mammogram.
Mm.
And was it a CAT scan or MRI? Anyways, CAT scan. Um, anyways, that extra step is the only reason she knew she had breast cancer,
Whoa.
why she got like a mastectomy and is okay. But
Wow.
so Heather had like a 40%
Yeah.
risk, and it should have been like 12. Um, but she didn't bring it up to anyone and no one asked, which I'm kind of like, she's allowed to feel bad about that, but I also understand why and how it happened. Like people just kind of assumed, um, like you would assume that someone would bring it up, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I think because it ended up being shocking news to her, their reaction means more to her in that moment than it would have if she would have just gotten the clean bill of health. So she's thinking about it more, and that the fact they didn't ask her about this huge thing that she learned. But when you hear it from the other side, which Shannon heard yays, and they just kind of assume that the energy was all clear from everyone. So to not specifically ask Heather, they just like they didn't think about it in the moment to like personally ask her, but it weighs so much heavier on Heather's mind because of what she learned. But I
Right.
totally understand why Heather felt that way. It's like I felt so bad for her. Like she brings it up at the dinner later, this beautiful London dinner. She
Yeah.
she starts to cry, and I rarely see Heather cry, and it's like I understand that reaction too.
Right.
They didn't mean it, but the fact that nobody asked her specifically made her really sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like tricky because it's like you can't really get mad at her for being upset about that, but also she shouldn't be mad at anyone for misunderstanding or like not
Yeah.
knowing what they were allowed to say or not, because it comes up later that apparently in a text setting this up to film, she said like I want to do this because, and it was like blurred, but family history that she literally says that I don't want to talk about on camera. So I think some of them were thinking like I'm not going to like ask about that or
Yeah.
whatever. So that made sense to me. You know, that was
Yeah,
an interesting backstory.
me too. Me too. They had a lot of stuff going for them on the anti-asking Heather side. Shannon was like,
Right.
"I didn't think you wanted to bring up your family history," but you know, like you said, I understand where Heather was coming from. It's kind of like no one's at fault for that one. Heather just felt really sad, but they had enough justification on their end, to rationalize why they didn't do it.
Yeah.
How do you feel just about the London trip? I mean, that spans both episodes. How are you feeling
Yeah.
about this?
It's fun. I mean, it feels like I don't know, like not so exotic or like not as, it feels a little more casual than usual, I guess. Like the activities are kind of like
Yeah.
chill.
They're oh yeah. I was gonna say they're like kind of like they're just like going outside of their hotel room and doing whatever is like the closest thing
Yeah, it's not
to
like
them.
over planned.
Yeah, like well, yeah, like this week on this week's episode, they're kind of just like they go to like the most touristy thing, like right next door to the hotel, and they eat like the British fries or whatever, and they do the old timey photo. Like I
Yeah.
kind of, I guess I don't know if I wanted more actually from the like London experience, like to do shit that like a tourist wouldn't do that had that had like 5 minutes to see what they wanted to do for the day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right. Yeah.
maybe like Buckingham Palace, go see the
Yeah.
king, like
Well, I was intrigued last week when they were on that like whatever
rocket boat.
The Thames rocket, and it was revealed that the original London Bridge is on Lake Havasu.
I couldn't believe it.
What the fuck?
I could not believe it. And Tamra knows that because she goes to Lake Havasu. I looked
I'm
it up after. I had
you
to.
know that like do they usually tell people that fact and people are like, I don't even know what Havasu is? And I'm like, you have the boat of people that know exactly what Havasu is.
Yeah, the London to Havasu connection was so strong there. I looked it up. Some guy bought the exterior of the bricks of the London Bridge and wanted to put it in his favorite place on earth, Lake Havasu. I can't believe
That's a
that
fact I'll never forget.
yeah, I can't believe that that they didn't want to keep this wonderful artifact from the 1700s or whenever the London Bridge was created. Like you wanted to have it over in Lake Havasu, but interesting fact. I couldn't believe it.
Nonetheless, yeah.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Shannon's expensive ass gift bags?
They make it seem like Shannon is so frivolous with her money. They're like, this was $600, this like British bucket hat. But I have to imagine that, like, don't you think Shannon gets like gifts and stuff, like British hats? And do you really think
I don't
she's
think Burberry gifted her 10 scarves.
all right? Okay, yeah, you're probably right. But I was thinking it was maybe like something that she didn't want. But yeah, it's an extravagant gift. I mean,
Yeah, I guess it is interesting that she didn't consider that people were going to be like, aren't you in like a money dispute right now? Like, it's one thing when like Heather does that or someone like that, where you're like, they could never spend all their money if they tried.
yeah.
But for Shannon and Jen right now, their finances are on watch.
Yeah. I would really want to look into it. I doubt that. I think there's something here we're missing with 600 times 6 or whatever they said the price of those scarves were. I have to imagine that Shannon didn't like blow them out of the water with those gifts. There's something else there. Do you think she spent $600 on Katie?
I mean, I don't know what the alternative would be,
Burberry
but
doesn't give scarves out. That's like that. That's like Tom Sandoval saying, "Lol, I got a free Range Rover every year."
yeah,
No,
Range Rover does giveaways.
yeah. Okay. Maybe she just gives wonderful gifts, but I just thought I don't know. You don't. Okay. Yeah. I think it's very possible, but then they all use it as ammunition against Shannon to be like, look how she spends her money when she owes John Jansen
Right.
$75,000. I just want to say, I'm slightly disappointed in this British trip. I mean, rocket boat. Um, like I also, I'm fine with the silliness of it, but like I don't also like that Shannon is making them have to wear this like very touristy garb everywhere they go, so they like stick out like sore thumbs. Like it's kind of makes. I'm not a huge like, I don't care about the culture of London, but it's kind of just like they're just like making a joke out of all this shit and going to all the shittiest places. Like this is like the tour. You know how the tourism board paid for Salt Lake City to go to Milwaukee and they highlighted like so much cool shit in it. This is like the worst trip of London. Like let's go on that rocky spa place, and then let's do that old timey photo thing where that's in every single city that you go to. You can
I
do a
know.
variation
Like
of that.
I've
That's
done that in like Big Bear.
yeah, that's not like a British like specialty. The fact that they have what kind of costumes was that?
Yeah, I don't want to get the years wrong.
British stuff. And they're wearing robes. They're wearing those red robes. I'm like, come on, can't we kind of like? I know OC is silly, but like, I don't know. Can't we do something like actually cool or fun in this city that's not just like
Right.
low hanging fruit? It feels like,
Stratford upon Avon.
yeah, yeah. I want to do something fun. When Heather was like, I want to go to Harrods and shop. I was like, I'll see Harrods. What the hell is that? You know?
Yeah. I did love those. She gave the fancy gifts in like a patent leather Harrods bag. And I was like,
Yeah.
I would love a Harrods shopping tote.
Yeah, I don't even know what Harrods is, but it sounded better than whatever the hell they're doing.
It's just
Um,
a beautiful department store.
would you have liked Rocket Boat?
I mean, sure. I mean, I don't know why it had to be so extreme.
I would have liked it. They kind of, they were pretty down on it. Only Emily liked
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Have you
And
seen?
then
I want to say something about London. I got on the TikTok where the horses are biting everyone. Um,
including Cena.
yeah, I just like there's a sign right there. It says "Don't stand near this horse," and it looks like they hurt so bad that horse bite. I mean,
I know.
they say this horse will bite you, and people still try to get that photo.
I
Um,
know. Well, that's like when I went to Yellowstone like 10 years ago, there were signs everywhere that like don't take selfies with bison, you dumb assholes. Like people were just getting like maimed by bison because I'm like, yeah, what part of you thinks that a bison is chill? They're huge.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I would never take a selfie with a bison. I went to this one place in Seattle. It's called like Raccoon Island. Have you ever heard about that? And like it's people drive up and the raccoons are so used to people giving them food outside of their window as they drive by because there's so many raccoons that raccoons are completely civilized. They walk upright like humans and they
Bipedal?
huh?
Bipedal?
Yeah, they're completely bipedal animals now. They're like evolving into humans, and they
Animal
ask,
farm.
yeah, and they ask for your food. They ask for your food with their hands up, begging for it. They've learned human customs.
Okay, that sounds right up my alley.
You would love. You got to go to Seattle and see these.
It
It's called
sounds
raccoon.
really problematic, but until I'm
Yeah,
told otherwise.
they say these raccoons are getting too smart. Don't feed them anymore, but everybody just completely ignores it.
It's like
Okay,
kind of
so
silly.
I'll skip us through like a rocket boat
Yes.
on the River Thames. So they go to this Londoner dinner. Last week they did this, and this kind of has a lot of fallout in this week's episode. So what we learn is that we're learning new details about this Johnny J stuff. Like Johnny J, this storyline. I mean, like the reunion part 3 is just going to be every aspect of Johnny J and what happened here.
Yeah.
But Shannon on the Jeff Lewis podcast, she provides new details, and one of them I thought was very shocking. As a huge Shannon fan who is very anti what Johnny J is doing, Shannon does make it seem like this all was the $75,000 was advertised as a loan with Johnny J. Even though it's a personal loan from a friend, she was bringing up, I don't want to take out a high interest loan. He goes, yeah, those things suck. I would never want to take one of those out. And she goes, you have money. Would you ever give me $75,000? And
Right.
he did give it to her. And then she even says, even more damaging or more to Johnny J's case, he did send her a promissory note a couple of days after. And there's also text saying, when are you going to give me that money back? Or something like that. So he has evidence that she knew it was a loan. She also has a promissory note. And the way she brought it up on Jeff Lewis sounds like he thought it was a loan as well.
Right. I guess it's like she once he made it clear that he was looking at it as a loan, she got pissed off because she didn't want it to actually be a loan because she's saying that on the new episode she calculates on her chicken scratch that she spent around 60 grand on him over the years, which like I get what she's saying, but there is very much a difference between like cost accrued over time
Yeah.
versus like a check written because I'm sure like because then it's like all right, well then does he need to go do math on any dinner he ever paid for and then deduct that, because I'm sure even if she generally paid for stuff, I'm sure that like he accrued expenses just by nature of them being around each other for years and like eating dinner and like whatever.
Yeah, yeah, it becomes very tit for tat in a way.
Yeah.
But I think that the way that this was originally advertised by Shannon, it's come a long way from what I thought this was, which I did think that Johnny J just splurged, on her and gave her the $75,000, knowing that she had spent $68,000 on him, and
Yeah.
now there's just I don't know evidence that she's providing that makes me think about it a little differently. And then Tamra, I know we don't trust Tamra fully,
Yeah.
but Tamra says, "Oh, she always knew that was a loan. They talked about it all the time. She absolutely always knew this was a Johnny J loan."
Right. And then, so yeah, it turns into a shit show at the dinner because Heather is pissed that that Shannon confided in her tearfully with like the blood photo and that like all this stuff. But then she was a little more flippant about all of this on Jeff Lewis's podcast. So Heather, I guess, thinks that she used her as like an on camera, like sounding board to get her version
Yeah.
over. Where in when she was on a podcast, she said something different. So Heather's like, don't use me as a pawn, I guess. And Shannon then flees the table. She's pissed. And this is where this is the new evidence we have that Shannon, I guess, when she went to text Alexis about the trip, she realized that they had a previous text history from 2018 where Alexis said, "We have engaged an attorney and we will be suing you and Tamra." And she shows that to Gina. And she's like, "This is called a smoking gun, you fucking liar."
Yeah.
And it turns out that Shannon, immediately when she found it, sent it to Tamra. And Tamra was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember that," but has been going about her business as if she was never told that and kind of continues to low key take Alexis's side, even though I feel like, as discussed in the past, that lawsuit like really fucked them up at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. The Tamara aspect of it is odd. The Tamara didn't want to bring that up to everyone to say, hey, I think I know specifically that Alexis is lying, and I can see that now. But I don't know if I thought this was as big of a bombshell at this point now that Alexis is sort of out of the picture and nobody's really talking about Alexis and we're moving forward with like other details. And I guess I assumed Alexis had something to do with the lawsuit, so I don't know how impactful that was for me personally. I guess it only affects. I guess it affects that we know now that Tamara is not telling the full truth about what she knows about Alexis, and so it's kind of
Right.
like why are you on Alexis's side over Shannon's?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm down for, I like just having evidence, because then shit is at least clear and there can't be like denying.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think with Tamara, she's being so horrible to Shannon, like objectively horrible, and she was objectively horrible to Heather last season. Like, she
yeah.
was so, like, I was, like, stunned by how Tamara treated Heather. And even Emily says this week, she's like, I don't know what the hell is going on with Tamara and how mad she is about Shannon. Do you think Tamara just kind of picks a target of her ire for a full season and says, I'm going to make you my villain, and I'm going to treat you like absolute shit for a full season, and then at the reunion, I'm going to apologize, and then we're going to start from scratch next season?
Seemingly so.
Yeah. That's really the only, like, she's giving us a lot of like fodder for why she is treating Shannon like this, but it just seems very it's just a little too much over the top hatred
Yeah.
of Shannon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she's fully justified it to me why she's treating Shannon like this.
Right. Did you like how, first of all, did you like the title of the new episode, Double Decker Drama?
Loved it. I immediately closed my eyes. I thought of a double-decker bus. And then you put that D alliteration in there. What was the second? It was double-decker drama, you said?
Triple D.
Yep.
And also the episode started with a fun, like Vanderpump-esque song where it was like, God save the king, God save the king. Guess what? The king is me.
That was so cool. Um, it was so tied into sort of like the King of England and stuff too, right? When you say double decker bus, I kind of go back to my point of like that the producers or whoever planned this trip were just like, they closed their eyes and they pointed at stuff on a London map, or they said, what is some London shit? Double decker buses, old timey photos where they dress up like Knights of the Round Table. You know what I mean? It's giving lazy planning. They just went on a bus.
Yeah, they didn't book a single thing. They just like got when you're in your hotel and they have all those pamphlets like
Yeah.
on like the little cart,
Yeah.
and you're like double decker, funny photos, the Thames rocket.
Yeah. What else would be on there? Horse bite.
Yeah.
Make the royal guards laugh.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
yeah. So they go. Man, this episode was not great to me. I just want to say that up front. I
Yeah.
mean, like, kind of they're rehashing everything from last week. Um,
Yeah, it kind of just has them two by two, like talking shit. Um, Katie and Tamra are questioning Shannon's money situation. They're asking why would she get plastic surgery if she couldn't afford it?
I get
Um,
the answer to that because the most important thing in the world is to look better.
True, I agree. Um, and Tamra's like, I feel like Tamra always is trying to act like she knows the most. Like, she's like, I'm on the inside track with Shannon, and I personally know that she spends her money like absolute shit. Like,
Yeah.
as if it was like a reveal or whatever. But I'm
Yes.
also like, okay, but she like has a lot of money.
Yeah, and she says something about Shannon not being a multimillionaire, and I'm like, how could she not be at this point? How long has she been on OC and that wonderful express package company she has? What was that?
Right.
Oh, she does those ship and pack commercials. Have you seen those?
Oh, no. Did you see the Dorinda and Dorit Words with Friends ad?
No. How was it? Wait, it was Dorinda and Dorit playing?
Yeah. And they were like, Dorinda's like, I'm making it nice. And then Dorit looks at a wind chime and she goes, chic.
Wow, that's almost exactly what I thought they were gonna say. They should have said like had a D-O filled out and then said, "Whoa, that's how you spell both of our
That's the
names."
common thread between us.
Yeah, this was kind of like throwing up shit at the wall to see what stuck with a
Yeah.
lot of these things. They're kind of like, I mean, I'm gonna kind of breeze through. I just want to give an overall tally of what happened, but like, Gina, or I don't know who says it. Gina's like, "Hey, Jen, do you know that Heather was talking shit about your dress?"
Yeah.
And like just to get some Heather stuff in there. Tamara's talking shit about Shannon. They're all kind of like uh, trudging up, grasping at what they can talk about for the rest of this trip by having a bunch of different conversations and
Yeah.
providing people with fuel to get mad at each other.
I did like the chicken scratch financial notes that Shannon runs and gets, and it's just like all these little shitty pieces of paper, and she's
Yeah.
like, "See, it adds up to 60,000, whatever." And Heather and Emily are like losing it, and they're like, "You cannot go to court." Imagine if she did go to court with those, and she's just like, "No, I have it right here."
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like who knows what kind of stuff she was doing on that. And it was like it was the worst kind of paper to be official. It was the kind of paper where you rip out from the rings and it has all those like straggly pieces on it. Like
Yeah.
she could have chose any better paper to show off the John Jansen expenses.
Yes.
Um, Tamara kind of it feels like they're kind of stirring up Jen to get her to go off. Gina
Mhm.
tells Jen about the Heather comment. And they also talk shit more about, Tamra's relationship to Jen
Yeah.
the entire time. And then I will say Gina wants a major piece of Heather.
Mhm.
Um, they go on the double decker bus and they're all wearing red robes. And Shannon is wearing a purple robe, as is custom in England. Purple denotes the highest court member, and then the red robes are the people in waiting. They're on the double decker, and then they're all bored for a second. Katie goes, "I can't hear what this person is saying on the speaker." And then Gina goes, "Well, if you're bored, let me tell you something, Heather. I'm really mad about you about the mammogram stuff." And first of all, I think that it's not good of Gina to, well, it obviously is not good of Gina to try to pick apart why Heather was upset about this thing. It's just sensitive overall. And when Heather cried, like, can't you tell that she's scared about the 40% risk factor here, and that she
Mhm.
was legitimately sad? But Gina tries to make it as an overall indictment of Heather's character, which is that Heather is like a hypocrite who requires everyone to come to her instantly with all of, like, if they have a problem with her or what's going on around her. And Gina says, "But you didn't do that with me. You let me linger with this, and you didn't tell me right away that you were feeling bad." And so she's kind of like thinking, like, she's like calling it like bullshit that Heather
Mhm.
feels this way. And
Right.
Heather already has a low tolerance for Gina because of what Gina did with Katie. And I'm like, do you want to be Heather's friend? I guess you don't.
Right. She then compares it to the Shady Whale segment on Watch What Happens Live, where Heather was on, and Andy was like, "Whose house is the shittiest or worth the least, I guess?" And she didn't even say anything.
Yeah.
Andy goes, "Probably Gina, right?" And she's like, "I don't know." And it was
Yeah.
kind of like the Aaron Bryn fight on RHONY, where they're like, "You didn't say enough to discredit what they were saying," and it's like she didn't even play along, like she didn't even like say anything.
No. And then they show proof or something. It's like Heather commented on Gina's Instagram. She goes, "I love you so much, Gina. Like, you're perfect," or whatever. It's like
The
Heather
boss.
did not yeah, Heather did not do anything wrong.
I
Uh
do kind of remember that because I think I remember there being a little bit of backlash about Andy having said that. I don't know if it was because Gina was offended, or I feel like it was like right around the like reality reckoning time when people were trying to use that as an example of like Andy treating these women poorly or something like that. And I'm like, who cares? But
yeah,
I
yeah.
I remembered that moment.
I just feel like if you were just thinking about it for a second, off the cuff, live, you would just say probably Gina's.
She lives
Probably
in a
Gina's.
casita.
Yeah, and I think that she was, yeah, she was grasping at straws there. But I'm just like, I don't know, why are you doing this with Heather? And Heather has the lowest tolerance for this that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
She's like, "This is bullshit. I'm completely exhausted with you." It's kind of like a better version of when Emily tried to confront Heather about Gene Gate. And Heather had no time for her, but Heather was still being sort of sympathetic. She wasn't going all the way. But with Gina, she's like, "Fuck off," basically. Like, "Get away from me." She calls her a fucking bitch at the end of this.
Right.
If that hot mic moment is to be believed, and it wasn't
Right.
ADR.
Yeah. It's almost like I feel like Gina is like insecure about their friendship, and it feels like it's like doomed to fail because they're just like not, it shouldn't be because of like money or whatever, but I think that Gina thinks Heather is better. Gina thinks Heather thinks that she's better than her,
Yeah.
and I don't know if she can like be convinced otherwise. And maybe that is true, but whatever.
Yeah. But
Um,
but it doesn't. It feels like Gina has like either for the show she wants to call Heather out, or she has at this point realized that like her friendship with Heather is not worth anything to her anymore, because you have to know that this is going to end badly. You bringing
right.
up the sloppy whale thing or whatever that you said, and then it splits the group up after Heather says, that's a fucking bitch, which I've never heard. If Heather cursed like that, it was crazy. But then this
Yeah.
is when they do all this sort of like garbage stuff. No offense.
The
I
Queen's chocolate shop.
it's like it seems like it's going to Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't go to a wax museum or something like that, like Ripley's.
Yeah, it'd be like if a franchise from a from a different country went to Hollywood Boulevard and spent the entire trip there with the Spider-Man guy and
Oh,
Chewbacca, and then went
that
to
sounds
Ripley's.
great. Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, and then we get the old timey, photo stuff. And then Tamara's on the other trip with
Oh,
Heather.
yeah. Did you notice that Tamra's makeup artist was wearing a Loverboy hat?
Yeah, I love that. I thought that was so great. Um, Tamara is firmly on Heather's side, which I really appreciate after how she treated Heather last season. This season, it's like Heather can do no wrong. I mean, Tamara has had
Yeah,
not one bone to pick with Heather this entire time. She's like her ride or die loyal ally this season.
right. I guess so. Um, should we go straight into the dinner? Was there anything
Yeah.
before dinner?
Yeah, Tamara picked up this magnifying glass and she said, she goes, Heather, they're picking every piece of you apart. They're like this with this big British magnifying glass. Where were you on January 6th?
Oh, I'm like, was anyone asking Heather that question? I think only Vicky.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, then we get a dinner. This looked like a nice restaurant, better than the Londoner. No offense to the
At the
Londoner.
Housewives, am I just privy to this restaurant, or did they go there? Did Dorit and Carol go here?
Dorit
I've
and
seen those pod bathrooms before.
Oh, I don't know, but possibly they knew they could film there, and they liked it. Um, yeah, this dinner, Jen says, "Hey,
She got
I
some
heard."
balls this episode. I'm
Yeah,
proud of her, honestly.
I'm proud of her. I'm proud of her, but I also think that people were whispering in her ear, and they said, "Start yelling,
Yeah,
start doing something, get mad," because Jen doesn't. She's never screamed before, and she hit a false note when she started yelling. I felt the performative energy here. This was a little better. It goes full blown at the end of the episode. This though, she goes, "Hey Heather, I heard that you were talking shit about me buying a $2,000 beautiful dress to that tea party that we
yeah.
had," and Heather spins it like a beautiful what's a thing that can be spun beautifully? A
Gold
spun.
thread.
She spun it into a gold.
Rumpelstiltskin.
she, she spun this thing like Rumpelstiltskin on his best day. She said. She, she said, "I was worried about you." She goes, I was worried sick about you. You said you only get 6K a month from who's her husband? Jen's ex-husband, that guy.
Right, whatever his
I
name is.
heard you only get 6K, so the fact that you spent 2K on a dress because you have to keep up with us, I felt like it was so horrible. And I'm
Yeah.
legitimately so sorry that you felt that way. It's like, it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, so Tamara tried to be like, no, like Heather said that she was hoping that you don't feel like you have to keep up with the Joneses, basically. And Jen is like, Heather, you wear head to toe designer all the time. And they're like, Heather can afford it.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I mean, Heather just got caught talking shit and she basically owns up to it. She's like, I'm not perfect. You're right. Like, I shouldn't have done that. Like,
Hmm.
sorry. Which I'm like, that's the best you can do.
Tamara
Um,
going to bat for her too really illustrates my point. She goes, "No,
yeah,
no, you got to believe me." Heather was being sympathetic.
right. But I'm like, in fairness, I would probably say the same thing. It's not nice, but it's like, I feel like that is a more valid question mark than the shit that other people bring up where they're like, "Oh, she's in Vegas. Like how can she afford to go to Vegas?" Like I'm like, she's allowed to like exist,
Yeah.
but to straight up buy a dress that's a quarter of her child support earnings to go to a fucking tea party lunch, I would if I saw that dress on the hanger, I would also be like, "Damn."
I think so too, and I kind of like that it devolved from like Gina making this her whole storyline to just being like casually commenting on how Jen is spending her money. It's
Yeah.
a little, I don't. They're like weaving it in a little more organically because it is worth noting that she
Yeah.
spent $2,000 on a dress when she's having
I was
financial issues.
wondering because they did kind of make a note about it last week or whatever, whenever she wore that she needed something to wear.
Yeah.
And she did say that she was going to go buy it. And I remember thinking, I'm like, where did she go? Like, I remember questioning if it was like
Yeah.
a bargain or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, me too. They said that she was gonna. I don't know if this is the right word. Finance or like amortize it over multiple events. So it was going to be her
Fair
Easter
enough.
dress, nephew's wedding
Yeah,
dress, and then like
that's girl math.
cost per wear. It's much better. I was going to ask you, can you just not dress like absolute shit? Like, can she not just like wear Everlane or not like that's a
Right.
shitty brand, but like, can you just like can't wear like basics from J. Crew or
Right.
Madewell?
Yeah, I think she could have found something similar for much less.
I think so too. I thought that she would say like it was Zara and they made a knockoff of Bottega Louis or what is that a brand?
That's where you get macaroons, Bottega
Oh,
Louis, right?
all right, all right. What's the one I'm thinking of?
Bottega Veneta.
Exactly what I was thinking. Then Jen turns her rage against Tamra,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, she's like, and you.
And I got a bone to pick with you. I'm pissed off this dinner. Um,
Yeah, she's
oh,
basically, and then, but Tamara also, apology energy is in the air because she's like, "You're right. I shouldn't have brought up the FBI. My fight was with him, not you. I shouldn't have said it." And I was like, "All right, like,
yeah.
fair enough."
Yeah. Then they talk about the Alexis text, which I was
Yeah.
waiting when this was going to be brought up.
Now
Uh,
Shannon's like, "And you."
Shannon goes, I've got something to say to you at this wonderful dinner where we're eating onion rings and Dover cakes or whatever that was. She goes, why didn't you tell anyone about the Alexis text that I sent you? And then, Emily also comes to Shannon's defense. She goes, yeah, that, you got to bring that in as a character witness about Alexis when we're all believing
Yeah.
Alexis's lies. You should have been there. And it's true. It's true. I shouldn't have said whatever I was saying about it. Tamra should have said, I know more about this than I'm letting on, and I'm purposefully making Shannon look worse by not
Yeah.
sticking up for her.
Yeah, I like this legal point of view where this should be entered to evidence. Take it as you will, but we should know the facts when we're judging everyone's behavior.
Yes.
Um, and Emily's like, it is weird that Heather and Tamra keep taking Alexis's side despite all of this knowledge, and they hold Shannon to a totally different standard for some reason.
Do you
Which,
think Big Jim Bellino, when they sued the pants off of Tamara, they made her sign the opposite of a non-disparagement clause?
yeah, they're like, talk shit constantly.
Well, no, I was thinking you can only say positive. You know what I'm talking about? Like the reverse would be, well, you know what I'm talking about? Like
Yes.
no, like that's why she's only saying positive, wonderful things about Big Jim and Alexis, even though secretly Tamara should have the rage of 1,000 suns at these people who cost her $500,000 or whatever they cost her. Where's
Right.
that? Where's that Tamara rage? Instead, she can only say good things about Alexis and Big Jim.
Right. Oh my gosh, I just got a TikTok of someone that apparently was surmising about Diddy stuff that included talk of Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Mm.
And I don't know what it was because he had to take the video down because he got a cease and desist from their lawyer that included that he needed to post a new video where he apologizes.
Wow.
And
That's
the video was just like him being like, it was all said in jest. I am sorry. I will not be talking about that anymore. He was like so
wow.
scared.
Yeah. I think he had a guest on, right, that like implicated that Jay-Z and Beyonce would go
Oh,
to those
that
parties
what
and
it
were doing
was.
that. But yeah, I mean they laid the
I
hammer
would
down.
never say something like that.
Yeah. Who? You?
Neither of us.
Ever? Could you imagine if Turtle Time was spreading lies like that? Then it gets then Tamra, shows a little bit of the anger that we've come to expect. She says, "I would never let my ego stop me from paying someone $75,000 and getting over it." And then Shannon kind of like comes back at her a little bit, and then Tamara says, "I'm done with you, basically get out of my face," and lifts her hand straight into Shannon's face saying,
Yeah.
buzz off. And then Shannon goes, "Don't you ever put your hand like that to me in my face at this wonderful restaurant." And Tamara does it one more time, and she goes, "I'm doing this because I want you to stop talking to me."
Yes. And Tamara's like, I'm done. And I think Shannon starts to get up, and Tamara's like, yeah, get out of here. And she's like, how about you get out of here? This is my trip. And she goes to the bathroom, and there's like those egg bathroom stalls that I swear I've seen before. I'll consult the RHONY episode, but
Yeah, find out. I want to know. They go to a little after party. The night is kind of already ruined. And this day, I will say this day hasn't been good. Like,
no.
not very fun. They know that everything was a flop. Double Decker was a flop. Eating those Charlie's crisps or whatever was a flop. Old timey
Heather does
photos.
say that this restaurant has the best onion rings she's ever had, though.
I liked that. I liked knowing that that place was great. But I just think that they kind of knew this wasn't working well. So then they do kind of a, you could call it like a sex game in a way. They say, let's all text our husbands, "I'm naked. Will you come get me right now?" It's like, how does that work? They all know they're going to get a text from Eddie's going to get a text from Tamara, "I'm naked." Like, okay. I mean, you're in London. Like,
Yeah.
and then they read out the responses. I don't really remember all of them, but none that made me think that this was a worthy
No.
exercise.
But it did make Shannon bummed out, and she went to bed because she
Rightfully
said,
so.
sure. Yeah, she said earlier also that her daughters are in Paris and they're going to meet her tomorrow. So she was like, I'm going to gear up for that.
I've done that trip.
The
The
like
ferry to
tunnel,
through the it's like through it's called the Chud or something.
the
You
Chud
go,
tunnel.
yeah, you go. There's like a ferry ride you can take from London to Paris. I've done it. It's beautiful.
That's
It's
awesome.
so fun. Yeah.
Everyone
Um.
was hungover as hell the next day,
Yeah.
which I do appreciate. It did feel a little bit, even though it was short-lived. There was like late night hotel room shenanigans, which I do always like to see. Um, but it was kind of just like quick.
I'm sort of against them in a way. Like, if they're actually fun, like they put like a bowl on their heads or whatever, like if it's fun, but sometimes I think that Bravo and they use this as an excuse to be like, you have no idea what we got into after the camera stopped rolling. And it's
Right.
usually boring, and
Yeah.
it's usually to try to make up for a lackluster day. And that's what this felt like. Then also Tamara does the thing where she starts ringing doorbells and screaming, and you know what I mean? Like going
Yeah.
to that kind of entertainment for us.
Yes. The next morning, well, Shannon and Jen talk about Tamra and that she sucks. And then Emily and Tamra go and get juice, and Tamra says that Shannon is an exhausting friend. Did you know she was talking to a pigeon? I was like, pigeons are big this week.
I didn't notice that. I don't know what the hell was wrong with me. Who talked to a pigeon?
Tamra said some shit to a pigeon. She like got on the ground and was talking to a pigeon for some reason.
Wow.
Emily is like, just be the bigger person. Why do you keep getting so fired up about Shannon? Like, just fucking chill and like get used to it.
Yeah. And then Tamara was something like, should I just apologize or whatever? I'm so tired of apologizing. But it sounds like Tamara is like getting ready to do that at some point. Like Tamara just, doesn't really care. Like she already apologized. They went to Mozambique on, in Newport Beach, and they already had this. Let's have a truce. Sit
Right.
down. I'm sorry for how I acted. Then it just got like immediately worse, and then Tamara will just say whatever she can, and then apologize, and then do it all over again, like she's doing with Jen.
Yes. Then we get Shannon is like, well, guess what? I've been digging through my texts again, even further.
She goes, look at this stuff I have. Do you think that like she's got a lot of like they say receipts or whatever, but do you
Yeah.
think she was kind of like bummed out about the Johnny J napkins that she had? And so she was like, "Hey, well, let me pull this out. This is more real and tangible. It's a text message."
Right.
Also, how long do you think she was waiting before she deployed this?
Right. Right. Like she needed a moment where she was sick of her completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, she dug him up from 2022, which I'm like, damn, that's kind of crazy to me that Jen's been in the mix that long. I wonder if it was like when she was cast or
I think it was when she was cast, and I think like some cast members do digging, so they
yeah.
have stuff to talk about. So I think that was Tamara doing that.
Yeah.
And you would think if you're a casual viewer, you'd be like, yeah, that's a background check. It has a photo of him and it says his name and a
Right.
bunch of blurred out shit. But we find out, I mean, I'll just spoil it now. Tamara goes, that was me checking with a realtor who I love. And they said, I looked at his license and he's not licensed to do any real estate. That wasn't a background check.
Yeah, mortgage broker.
Mortgage broker.
Right, which I guess adds to his shadiness because that's the only real job he's ever said that he has had. But when they first talk about it, she's like, "Look at this," and they're like, "It's Shannon, Jen, and Gina," and Jen's like, her obsession with him and with us is like approaching single white female bunny boiler status, and everyone agrees they're like, it is weird, and Jen starts getting so pissed off. She's like, I'm sick of this low level bullshit. She is trash.
Yeah.
And I
She
did
she
enjoy.
yeah,
Sorry.
she gets the most vocal she's ever been. She stands up, she screams. You can tell that she's kind of like wanting like she's formulating this monologue as she goes along,
Yeah, she gets
gauging
the
the,
camera crew to follow her down the hallway to go straight into Tamra's room. They like show the cameras scrambling, and the she's getting her hair done when she walks in, and she's like, "Can you turn the blow dryer off? I have something to say." Heather's in there too, and she's like, "Did you get a background check on Ryan?" And Tamra's like, "No." She's like, "I swear to God on my kids' lives I didn't."
yeah.
And she's like, "Well, I just saw it." And on one hand, I was like, I did believe Tamra, because it was so long ago that I can imagine her not remembering.
Right. Or swearing on her kids' lives.
Sure, either one. And she's like, I just saw it with my own eyes. And she's like, show it to me. And Tamra just starts doing like the like villainous slow clap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really it'd be really frustrating if you're in an argument with someone and they kind of do that patronizing like clapping at you.
Yeah.
She's kind of like making fun of Jen for like yelling for the first time or saying like
And
what
then
a
she's like, I'm proud of you. You're finally using your voice. It's like so annoying.
yeah, and she's like it'd be so much in the confessional. She's like this would work a lot better if she had half a brain. So she's being really mean to Jen. She said Shannon wound up Jen like a top and sent her spinning right towards my room. Um, you know,
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, holds firm that has never paid for a background check in her life. It was not a private investigator, it was a real estate guy, and that she looked into if he was licensed as a mortgage broker. And Jen is just like, I want no part of your bullshit. I have my kids under one roof. Like, I felt like she was like skirting on calling out Tamra's daughter for hating her, but never quite went there. But I
Yeah.
could tell that that was the subtext.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
she says,
yeah,
yeah, she says, what means something to her, which I think is, it's sort of true. Jen just says, I'm a better person than you'll ever be.
yes,
And then she lets out a fucking bitch on her way out of the hotel room.
yes. And it does look like potentially they go to Windsor Castle next week.
No
And
way.
um, and then there's like a soundbite where I forget who's talking to who, but they're like, apparently we need to ask if Gina pushed Travis down the stairs.
Oh my God. I didn't hear that. Oh my God. Travis got pushed down the stairs.
I'm like, okay, the staircase, like what the hell?
Oh my God, yeah, it's total staircase. I thought it was sad when Heather went to that Bon chocolate shop and she goes, "What does the queen normally get when she comes here?" And then she goes, "Oh fuck." She goes, "Sorry, what did the queen used to get when she came here when she used to be alive?" And the person said, she used to get these jelly filled
Crumpets. And then they're like, she was like, has Princess Kate, the Duchess, been here? And they're like, I don't think since she's been a royal. Like they're just
Yeah.
like
They
talking
don't know
about.
how to handle this stuff. They're kind of, I'm not so like high and mighty that I'm like, don't act like tourists, but they're kind of like being silly. At one point, they ask the guy who just is a British guy who's making them French fries, they go, say Orange County. It's like, he's just a guy making fries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that
That's
would
what
be
they did.
rude in any context. It would be a huge get if King Charles is on next week's episode, right?
Oh my God, I would love to see it.
He
It would be
knights
like,
Shannon.
remember when he met the Spice Girls and Ginger slapped his arse?
Ginger Spice from the Spice Girls met King Charles and smacked him on the arse.
Is iconic.
I don't remember that. That really happened?
Bryn Whitfield could never.
Wow. Is there any footage of it or is it just a tale they
I
tell?
there might be. I think I feel like I can picture it.
I missed a lot of the Spice Girls stuff. I'll say it.
Wow.
I
That was
missed.
everything to me.
Wow. I missed it all. I only know them as references when people say their names.
Yeah. I've probably seen Spice World more than any other movie.
Wow. Is it good? Well, I guess you have so much nostalgia baked in
It's
for it.
fun. It's I didn't realize till later that it's very much a hard day's night.
Oh.
Because I saw that later in my teens and I was like, this is Spice World.
Wow. Wow, that's
I
great.
finally saw James Bond. I was like, this is Austin Powers.
Yeah, right. When they smacked King Charles on the arse, was he wasn't the king yet, right?
Just the prince. He could do whatever he wanted.
Oh my God, back then. Princes, yeah, princes have a lot more leeway in terms of what kind of stuff they can do. King Charles is doing a lot of new PR stuff.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, he's been
It
much
hasn't
better.
made it to my feed.
No, it's good. It's good. You got to see it. He after that one thing I told you where he goes, "Get this pin out of here." And he was
All of
really
my sausage fingers.
he goes, "I hate this pin. Get it out of here." It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
I love
He
that you were so affected by it. You've brought it up like 10 times and you really were horrified. You're like, this guy sucks.
Oh my God, it's so jarring when you see a glimpse into someone how they treat people and how they act. I'll never, but he's much better. He says he's doing a lot of different stuff now. So I'm kind of like
Good.
I'm rallying around him again.
Good.
Um so anyway, well, did we just discuss that episode of OC?
I
Good
think we
enough?
got her done.
Yeah,
Um,
it was good talking about both of them together, but last week's was a lot better than this week. So,
yeah.
I'm glad we talked about that one.
Right. So, to warn you, we're going to do the same thing next week because if we can't get together at a very specific window of time, we can't get OC in under the wire. So, there's going to be some travel happening next week. So, we're going to record a day early. So, we'll do both OCs the week after.
Yeah.
So, just gird your loins for that.
Gird your loins, please. Amy and I are in a transitionary time of our lives, and we're trying to make comment on everything in the Bravo universe, but we have to adapt our schedules to this new, Turtle Time lifestyle. But
It's true.
no matter what, Amy and I will get to it, and we will discuss it at some point, so rest assured. I'll lead us in with saying something that I want to say, which is that if you enjoy Turtle Time and you said, wow, 3 hours of every Bravo show with even Potomac is in there, I need more of this. Well, there is more. It's called the Turtle Time Patreon. You go there, you become a Villa Rosa VIP the minute you give us $5. You are instantly a part of one of the most beautiful communities in Bravo history, the Villa Rosa VIPs. And in addition to becoming a part of that community, you also get to listen to Amy and I recap Vanderpump Rules from the very first episode, Season 1, Episode 1. We are now about 80 episodes into Vanderpump Rules. We are in Season 5, about halfway through it. We're in what I consider to be the golden era of Vanderpump Rules. Jax's roast, the dueling bachelorette parties for Schwartz and Katie, and, like we said, everything in Vanderpump Rules history that is going on now has come full circle from what we talk about in the past. We are dissecting the absolute shit out of Vanderpump Rules, and it's fun, and I think our Villa Rosa VIPs enjoy it. This week's episode, I forget what we talked about, but it was a really fun episode. It was post-roast. I don't remember what episode it was.
Yeah, it's when James's former lovers accost him and Raquel at the club.
Yes, Ambush is what it's called.
Yes.
And it has so many iconic moments. I mean, Season 5 is amazing. So please pay us $5 a month. You get access to the full Turtle Time archives over there. And then if you really love us, you would just keep on being with us for months and months paying that $5. It's a wonderful program, and we love our Villa Rosa VIPs. Every comment we see from our Villa Rosa VIPs, Amy and I look at it, we smile, and we comment back when we can.
It's true. And if you prefer to watch your podcasts, we upload every single one on YouTube, so find us there. And if you love this show, give us a little review. It helps.
It really does. I don't get Chartable updates anymore because Chartable went under.
Really?
They folded. They said, I was requesting to see our reviews too many times. They said, we can't handle this kind of download
You don't have the
speed.
staff.
I said I need to see if any Turtle Time reviews came in. They said we can't accommodate you anymore. So I don't know what's going on there, but we were loving life when we were getting the 5 stars rolling in. It was
We will
so
check
fun.
manually to see if you heeded our request.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will be back next week with most of the shows, just not OC next week.
Right. I'm going to Arizona. I'm going to see that London Bridge because Lake Havasu borders Arizona, right?
Please go.
It is Lake Havasu's in between Arizona and California, right?
I think I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I thought it was in Arizona. But
Oh, my bad. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I'm going. I think the London Bridge goes from California to Arizona. It's the thing
I'd love
that's.
for you to drive across it.
I definitely will if I can. Well, Amy, thank you for being with me. Again for Turtle Time. I can't believe what we did. Let's wrap this thing up.
Okay.
Nip it in the bud.
Okay.
Go
Good
to
night.
sleep. All right, little turtle cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs. I hope you found some merit to this. Amy and I are going to go to sleep, and we will be back next week, unless you join us on Patreon, and we'll be back with a new episode on Monday.
Woohoo.
Bye.
Bye.